Greetings Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live, from the Maverick News Network, World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Apparently, we can't stop what's coming. So we're told tonight, as Donald Trump says, like it or not, tariffs will be imposed on Mexico, China, and Canada starting tomorrow. It looks like that 25% hit is coming. Oil maybe not being hit quite so hard because even though he doesn't need Canadian oil, he's going to be a nice guy and reduce the tariff that he was planning for oil coming from Alberta to maybe 10%. But I guess we'll have to wait and see until tomorrow. But we're going to talk about it tonight, and you can call in and join the conversation during the call-in portion of our program. In fact, you can call pretty much any time during the course of the broadcast. I'm going to kick things off with a look at what Trump said and some of the reaction on the Canadian side, because, folks, this really does pose, in very real terms, an existential threat to the sovereignty of Canada.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV.
The entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so this is actually happening, and it's mind-blowing, but here's Trump today in the White House responding to questions about the pending tariffs, which take effect tomorrow. It's not pie in the sky. It's not something that might happen. This is coming, and he says it's coming, like it or not. He doesn't... This is what I've been saying too, folks. This is not really just about the border. It isn't It isn't even really clear. He's not making it clear what this is about. He doesn't even want to talk. He's not interested in any concessions. It doesn't matter how many times Danielle Smith, Premier of Alberta, goes down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. He doesn't care. He has his sights set on something much larger. He just wants to let this happen. He's doing it regardless. It doesn't matter how much we spend on the border to secure things. It does not matter. He's doing this regardless of what we do. And he's sitting back just to see what happens. Almost like an experiment, but it's not an experiment. It's a plan. And he's rolling it out starting tomorrow.
Do tonight to Canada and Mexico can do tonight to forestall your implementation of tariffs tomorrow?
No, nothing. Not right now, no.
Not a negotiating tool?
No, it's not. No, it's a pure economic. We have big deficits with, as you know, with all three of them. And in one case, they're sending massive amounts of fentanyl, killing hundreds of thousands of people a year with the fentanyl. And in the other two cases, they're making it possible for this poison to get in, number one. And number two, we have big deficits, and it's something we're doing. And we'll possibly very substantially increase it. We're not. We'll see how it is. But it's a lot of money coming to the United States. As you know, we have about a $200 billion deficit with Canada, getting close to $200 billion. They've treated us very unfairly. And I say, why should we be subsidizing Canada? It's wonderful. I have so many friends in Canada. It's a great place.
Is there a concession you're looking for, sir?
No, we're not looking for a concession. We'll just see what happens. We'll see what happens. And with Mexico, it's the same thing. We have a $250 billion deficit, and we have a lot of people coming into the border, and now we've largely stopped that, but we've stopped that ourselves. I think they've done a fantastic job. You've seen the numbers, they've dropped to almost zero. But we've suffered under the past administration for years and years. We've suffered with millions of criminals coming into our country. Criminals, people from jails from all over the world. They come through Mexico, and they come through Canada too. A lot of them come through Canada, and a lot of fentanyl comes through Canada. And China makes the fentanyl. China makes the fentanyl, gives it to Mexico, puts it through Canada, puts it through different places, mostly Mexico, but also a lot through Canada. And so all three haven't treated us very well.
Right, okay. Well, Joseph Leonard is on the line from the Motor City, Detroit tonight. Regular contributor here on Maverick News. Joseph, it looks like Trump is going to war with us on the economic front, but regardless, you and I are still friends. Help me out here, man. Well, just give me your thoughts.
But then again, we're still friends because I'm a glutton for punishment. Just a joke, people. Just a joke. We've talked about this before. In all seriousness, he only has a second term. I get that, but that's 4 years. To me, this is stupid to do right now. Doing it with China, sure, I can see that. And then the potential of tariffs, again, using as a carrot and a stick on whatever you're trying to negotiate, although it's pretty tough to say the USMCA is a bad agreement when it was his administration that negotiated the agreement. So I could see doing it with China immediately and leaving it dangle a while as whatever back and forth happens, like any head of state, like Castro Boy, Premier Blackface, Trudeau, should use carrot and stick also in negotiation. Any head of state should. But doing it tomorrow, to me, is stupid. Wait, China, yes, maybe another 30, 45, 60 days. Mexico, if we don't get action that we're looking for, yes. And then down the road, Canada, I don't see why, but okay.
Question: What difference? What do you? Why does it matter? Like, When? I'm not sure I follow you. What, like he's doing it. It's not going to be any different if he does it in 30, 60, or 90 days. He's doing it starting tomorrow. The damage will be the damage. I don't understand what's the difference? Explain.
Well, the difference is he just took office. It's been an ongoing issue with China for decades. It's not been an ongoing issue with Canada and Mexico has been an ongoing issue in some regards, regarding certain things for decades also. But the issue between us and Canada, which I don't really see much of an issue other than, as he states, there's a trade deficit. Well, you know, all kinds of countries have positive and negative trade deficits with partners. So, but I'm saying with putting it off, I mean, there's more time for diplomatic discussion.
He doesn't want discussion. You just heard him. Joseph, he doesn't even want to talk. He doesn't want concessions. He doesn't. He's just doing it.
Not the clip I saw.
What did you hear that was different?
I saw a clip, and that's part of the problem. I mean, a half-hour presser can take 30 seconds, 2 minutes out of context, and did he really mean this, or did he really mean later when he said he was talking about the fentanyl issue and that Canada may not be doing enough to prevent fentanyl coming from China into Canada into the U.S., whereas we all know Mexico is the major problem regarding that. But,
yeah, well, the studies have shown, the stats are solid, that 1% of the fentanyl going into the United States comes through Canada. 1%.
Yeah, it's next to nothing. So why this immediate need now? Again, China is the biggest problem. Mexico, our next biggest problem. You guys aren't the problem with us right now, other than the trade deficit. Well, again, you're always going to have ups and downs in trade deficit overall numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And regarding the tariffs themselves, the issue is that the tariffs, you know, the left, the Trump derangement syndrome crowd, of course, oh my God, the tariffs, you know, everything's going to double in price. Well, the price of eggs are going to double in the U.S. next month, based on something the Biden administration did, killing 5 million chickens. So there are going to be 5 million less eggs in the supply chain. I talked to a restaurateur. His costs wholesale are going up from $1.11 an egg to $2.25 an egg next month. But I say that because tariffs are the same way. Costs can be absorbed by a manufacturer, a distributor, and why would they do that? Because selling a widget at $8 to a billion people is better than selling a profit of $10 to half a billion people if demand is going to reduce so much. And of course the retailer, and yes, some of that, if not a lot of it, will be passed on to the consumer. But China is again a different animal than Canada or Mexico, because China is subsidizing those manufacturers in order to be able to produce them cheap, to flood our markets and put out American, U.S., and Canadian, as well as Mexican jobs. So China will absorb most of that tariff by higher subsidizing the cost of whatever to keep the cost down. And then, of course, a U.S. or Canadian retailer can then adjust, a manufacturer or whatever, can adjust a little to bring their cost down to be a little more competitive. So I'm just about dealing in the reality rather than just spin left or right or U.S. Canada.
There's not a lot of wiggle room on the margins on a lot of these goods and commodities are priced at on the world market. And in Canada, I don't know if you're aware, but Our dollar is intentionally kept lower than the U.S. dollar through the use of interest rates to make sure that our products are sold to the U.S. at a discount to begin with. So the producers of things like steel,
the trade imbalance, yes.
so that because and then even and that's even the case with oil. So you guys are already purchasing these commodities at a discount. We work for less by about 30% already, and now he's going to impose a 25% tariff on everything. That'll make it more expensive on the U.S. side, and that'll cut. What?
Yeah, commodities are different than an actual product like a washer or a dryer or a car, like Canadian cars or Chinese parts going into Mexico being put together and claimed to be a Mexican-made car then because it was assembled there and driven over into the U.S. But commodity like oil is indeed somewhat different. And we want Canadian oil because, frankly, the Canadian oil is indeed somewhat cheaper to be brought here. We want to produce more here to export to Europe where we can make a bigger profit while at the same time subsidizing our lower energy costs, we hope, by cheaper Canadian oil.
Well, do you understand? Do you understand how serious this is? Do you understand what this is? What this really is? This is warfare. It's nothing short of that. He's declaring war on Canada, Joseph. It's that serious.
Well, I can understand that hyperbole.
That's not hyperbole. That's not hyperbole. This is a declaration of war on Canada, and this is incredibly destabilizing to our country. What?
Shut down all traffic from Canada to the U.S. if it's war, and stop sending any product from Canada to the U.S. Fine, go ahead, retaliate. It only hurts you if you do.
We didn't start this. We don't want that.
I know you didn't. Didn't say you did. But
we didn't start the war.
What are you going to do about it?
Well, it is not hyperbolic. This is dividing the country and destabilizing the country, and for what? Because it's not about the border. It's actually about something much bigger. It's about ripping this country apart. That's what he's doing, and he's doing it intentionally, and it's been happening for quite some time. Donald Trump is hell-bent on destroying Canada.
There is indeed something to be said. I mean, George Soros has done it for decades.
You know what? Compared to George Soros, George Soros is a saint compared to this guy. I would George Soros, Klaus Schwab, all those guys, they're nothing compared to what Trump is doing right now. Nothing. This guy is out to destroy the country.
All I can do is laugh at you, Rick. I'm sorry.
All right, well, you go ahead and laugh, my friend, but you give it even weeks. He's already saying that he wants to make it the 51st state, and he's not joking.
No, I agree with you on that.
So then what else would you call it? What else would you call it?
Degree of destabilization, but it's not open.
Not a degree of destabilization, Joseph. You don't understand the politics up here clearly. You have separatists in the West, separatists in Quebec. You have this guy now declaring economic warfare on the country, dividing the people. You've got an information warfare campaign that's clearly being propagated and amplified to convince people that it's our own damn fault, that we did it to ourselves, when in fact we've only been trading in good faith with the United States for, well, like 150 years as an ally and a partner with no threat to you whatsoever. And all these problems that he's jacking up now and focusing on and and pretending that you've got a border crisis. All the problems of the United States are coming through Canada. Horse hockey. You've got the same damn problems down there that we've got here, and they come in through ports on your east side and your west side, from the Atlantic and the Pacific. They come from all over the place. They arrive in your airports. It's not our damn fault.
I agree. It is not. And I agree that this is stupid to engage in at this point with you. I have agreed.
And I'm looking in the chat right now, and of course, the trolls are in there tonight and attacking me en masse. And you guys go right ahead. And he says, Michael says, true color, Rick, eh? Yeah, damn right. My true colors are red and white, Canadian, through and through. And I'm not going to sell it my damn country. I'm pro-Canada. And I'm pro-American too, but Trump ain't American. I'm telling you right now, man, Trump is not, this is not make America great again. This is not making America great at all. He's attacking his allies, attacking his friends. He's attacking everybody. There's nobody he's not picking a fight with right now, that guy. And he's making shit up. $200 billion trade deficit. Yesterday it was $175 billion. Last week it was $250 billion. Another time it was $300 billion. He's pulling the numbers out of his butt. It's not even true. Do you even know what our real trade deficit is with the United States? Do you know what it is?
Regardless.
No, not regardless. It's important. It's the cornerstone of his whole argument. It sure as hell isn't 200 billion. It's not 250 billion. It's not even close. I knew that instantly the first time he said it. It's a lie. It's a bloody lie. Our trade deficit on any given year with the United States is between 40 billion and 60 billion. And if you take oil and natural gas out of that, the trade deficit is on the other side. In terms of manufactured goods, we buy more from the U.S. than you buy from us. Overall.
I would suspect that would be.
And that's documented in all kinds of economic data from TD Bank, International Economic Analyses. It just goes on and on. I mean, I've covered so much economics news over the decades that I just knew instantly when he threw that number out there. It's not even in the galaxy of reality. It's so far off base.
Right.
It's not even close.
All right, are you going to allow me to get another word in here?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm glad you called in.
I have zero problem with you being Canada first, as we should be USA first. That does not mean USA alone.
Yes, it does. It does now.
USA only.
Yeah.
And what Trump is doing here, I agree with you, is stupid. I cannot agree with you enough more, but yet you still want to go off. So,
well, I'm just stating facts, and it's not hyperbole. This is going to destroy our country if he keeps going down this road. He'll starve us to death. That's the plan. And then and when he does that, he'll get the people to rise up. And it's been in the works for quite some time. He's going to get the people to rise up. That's what he's doing. He's choking us off with using the trade as a weapon. And then we'll be presented with an option during this coming election. Do you want your sovereignty, or are we going to have a referendum on joining the United States, or whatever the choice is? And if we don't vote correctly, you mark my words, there will be an uprising. If we don't vote,
well, the separatist movements in Canada have certainly not come up overnight, and they are regarding a varying amount of different information. Mm-hmm. And I agree that Canada or any of the province, despite my discussion the other day and joking with you a few weeks ago about making everything below 401 from Detroit to New York a new state so we can surround all the Great Lakes states. That was joking around. I don't want you part of the United States because, frankly, you all vote way too liberal. We don't need more Democrat voters.
Yeah, I understand. I know. I just can't drive home the seriousness of this enough. And I see how it's playing out, and I've connected all the dots, and I know exactly where it's going. So hold on to your gotchi straps because we're in for one heck of a ride.
Yeah. Well, I'm not dismissing you as completely wrong. You are absolutely, positively pointing to dots that can connect, and the dominoes fall over a certain way. I just hope you're wrong. Obviously, I hope you're wrong for the sake of United States citizens and Canadian citizens, many of which my friends are alike. And with that, I've got to get to finishing up an article for tomorrow that's going to hit on Substack and Forest News. So I'll bid you a fond farewell, my brother. I love you.
Love you too, man. Where can people find your work?
Yeah, well, like I said, I've got a piece, Flashback 2024, going to hit on beforeitsnews.com and Substack tomorrow, looking back on last year's politics and ahead to this year's politics, including the price of eggs that I touched on earlier as a lead into the tariff thing. Yep. So, and of course, terrorstrikes.info for my book, and Amazon.com, all that good stuff. So again, I didn't come on to try to sell some books, though, brother. I just wanted to talk about the issues.
Yeah, well, thanks for calling in. Just if everything.
I'm sure there will again be in the near future some things that we can be together in on complete agreement. And like you once said in the past, we're not necessarily agreeing to disagree here. We are kind of pretty much in agreement.
Oh yeah, I think we are. The only thing I think that we're not quite in alignment with is how serious this actually is for us up here in Canada. And what this is really going to mean for our country.
No one in your audience, please, no one listening to me should take as an assumption or on anything I said that I am saying you're full of shit or anything like that, and this is pure conspiracy garbage. It's not. I live in Detroit. I've been to Canada over and over and over again. I have friends over there still. The Quebec separatism thing has been an ongoing thing my entire lifetime. So what you're talking about is not the solar system of reality. You're dealing in reality. What it ultimately falls over into, I just hope you're wrong. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just hoping you're wrong. Hoping it doesn't go that far. But yes, it could. It could. It could. I'm not disagreeing with Rick on that. This is important. This does matter. What he's talking about matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope I'm wrong too. At least, I hope that this can be solved in some ways so that everything smooths out. But I don't know what you do when the president is saying that he doesn't even want to talk. He's not looking for concessions. He's just going to do it. So where are the negotiations? There aren't any. And this is what I've been saying from the beginning too. Well, first people are like, oh, he's only joking. And then it's like, well, he's still, you can never really tell from what he's saying. And, it probably won't be that bad. And we'll have to see what happens. And it might not be 25%. And I kept saying, no, he's dead serious. I was saying this 2 years ago, that Canada is in play. It wasn't really clear where the threat was coming from.
He's already backpedaled on the oil thing and talking 10%, and I think that's outrageous and ridiculous and unnecessary even in that. So All right, yeah, like I said, I got to get to
Okay,
my
sir.
articles.
Yeah.
Plus, if you saw in chat, there's a plane that hit them all in Philadelphia. So I've got to look into that now, too. Is that an accident or is that terrorism?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we're going to check that out as well.
okay,
And
brother, talk to-
and thank you very much,
Yeah,
Joseph,
well-
for calling in tonight, my friend.
Oh, you're most welcome. Love you, brother, and I'll talk to you later.
You betcha.
Bye-bye.
Okay, see ya. Joseph Leonard from Detroit, and I am going to pull up the information on that plane crash. Another one. So just give me a moment here. I'll come back on the other side and we'll share that information with you as well.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to go to Philadelphia. Live feed, to the ABC affiliate there. We've got feed coming out live. Hang on, small plane crash. Hang on, here we go. Bring this up. And we're going to go live right now.
Has been coming in, and again, it's nighttime. It was dark when that plane crashed, and the flames were so intense that it lit up the sky. You would think it was daytime. Once again, a lot of crews out here working to piece together information to learn more about what happened here tonight. Gray.
Yeah, Brianna, shocking to hear from the individual who saw this all happen, and something that resonated, he said, with me. I hope everyone is safe. We want to get to some new information that we're just getting into our newsroom. The FAA has put a ground stop in the Northeast Philadelphia Airport. So again, this coming from the FAA, a ground stop there at Northeast Philadelphia Airport, which is not too far from the scene here. We are also getting some preliminary information from the FAA about this breaking news. Here's what we're learning from the FAA. A Learjet 55 crashed, they say. It happened around 6:30 p.m. local time. And they say this all happened after that plane departed from the Northeast Philadelphia Airport. They're confirming now 2 people were on board this plane. The plane, we're told from the FAA, was en route to Springfield Branson National Airport. Of course, that is in Missouri. We do know the FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board will be investigating this. The National Transportation Safety Board will actually lead this investigation. And of course, as they get more information, they'll pass it on to their media outlets. But again, the FAA confirming that this involved a Lear 55 jet that crashed around 6:30 p.m. local time. Let's get you back now to Brianna Gallagher, who is there at the scene. Brianna, what are you seeing there now?
Yes, Gray, we're still at the intersection of Roosevelt Boulevard and Cottman Avenue, where the police presence is immense. There are a lot of first responders here going in and out of their vehicles, meeting up to have conversations, working to talk about exactly, what they're learning minute by minute. New information's coming in. We haven't heard quite yet from officials just yet on scene, but I know an update is coming. We got a lot of first responders here. We're still hearing sirens, so you mean the response is still coming. And also that large group of people that we saw, we're seeing a lot of people still walking up, and they're probably walking because the traffic to get to this area, if you live nearby or you're trying to get home or just trying to pass
I have some
through,
new footage coming up here in just a moment.
gridlock. We were, less than a half a mile away, and it took us 15 minutes just to get to the intersection of Cottman Avenue and Roosevelt Boulevard. But new information still coming out. We're still working to get more details. Gonna send it back to you, Gray.
Okay, Brianna, thank you. And again, if you are just joining into our breaking news coverage, the FAA reporting that a Learjet 55 crashed around 6:30 p.m. Right there along Cottman Avenue and Roosevelt Boulevard. We can confirm tonight 2 people were on that plane. There were reports of multiple casualties, also reports that debris went into buildings, on top of cars. And we saw earlier that at least we know a business in that area was on fire. And at this time, we have multiple crews on the scene. We have now we have learned that Leland Pender has arrived there at the scene. Leland, where are you at this point? What are you seeing and what are you hearing?
Yeah, hey, Greg, we're right outside Jefferson Health here, and we are monitoring the entrance to the emergency room here. If you look right behind me, I'll let my photographer, Tom, kind of zoom in for a second. You see the entrance is being blocked off by a Jefferson Health police officer. We've seen some cars turned away. Some have been let in. They must have an authorized or approved reason to be on the property. But otherwise, there's not a whole lot of coming and going right here. Just moments ago, we did see an ambulance. Right now, let me just take a second here. It looks like maybe a police vehicle might be trying to enter. Not 100% sure. There's so many moving parts right now and trying to get a handle on what's going on. But a short time ago, we did see an ambulance leave in a rush, followed by a Philadelphia police car. Both had lights and sirens activated. That was just moments ago, but right now it is relatively quiet here. We'll of course continue to monitor things. We have reached out to Jefferson Health to find out how many patients could be treated here, maybe when they arrive, possible conditions. This hospital approximately 20 or 25 minutes away from the scene of the crash, so certainly in relatively close proximity. But that's the latest for right now. Still trying to gather information. We'll bring it to you as soon as we can. Gray?
Okay, Leland, thanks for that report there right outside the hospital.
Okay, we have new footage as well of the plane crash. Here it is. And it just absolutely lit up the night sky and the surrounding area. And so we know that we have multiple fatalities. It looks like the Learjet did strike some buildings. The total number of casualties here, not really known. 2 people on the plane. And one more time, we'll take a look from this angle. And you can see just on the left-hand side of the screen there, you can see it coming in through the sky. See the light and then the impact. Wow. Okay, let's go back to ABC.
Some videos because they were here earlier on, and so just taking a look at those videos, you can see how intense the flames are from that plane crash and just the debris scattered all over the street. And some of the video, you can see that the buildings nearby were impacted, some damaged from the crash. And if you look over in some of the video, you can see a house and a vehicle on fire. But it's just an incredible scene that unfolded here earlier this evening after that plane crashed on the road, and just seeing the flames. And again, as we said earlier, police say at least 2 people were on that plane. They believe they recovered at least 1 who they believe may be the pilot because of what the person was wearing. Gray.
Yeah, Brianna, have you talked to any more police officers to get maybe an idea about how many other injuries there have been in that area tonight? I know it's preliminary and I know it's a fluid situation, but have they gave you any indication of how many injuries they've seen or maybe heard about?
Yeah, unfortunately, Gray, not at this time, but we are working to learn more about the incident that happened here and those who were hurt or impacted from this plane crash. But as you can imagine, they're here hard at work trying to figure out how all of this happened, and then of course rush those people to safety who were hurt from this crash. So of course we're working to speak with officials here, but we're waiting to hear back at this time.
Okay, Brianna, thank you. And folks, as you watch this unfold with us, what you're seeing on your screen apparently is video of possibly the moments that this small aircraft came down there in Northeast Philadelphia. You saw that bolt of light go down to the ground, and then we see that mass explosion, a fireball there. People describing this as horrific. They are in disbelief that this, of course, happening in Northeast Philadelphia. Social media flooded with video as people, of course, live and work in this area, and coming outside to hear this explosion and to see a plane go down right in the neighborhood where they live. Again, we talked about how heavily traveled this area is. It happened just before 6:30 tonight. So you can imagine the traffic that was in this area. We also can confirm that at least 2 people were on that plane, and we are working to get you more information if we can about who exactly may have been injured in this particular situation. The FAA confirming the type of aircraft this was. They say it was a Learjet 55. We know that the individuals on that plane, they were on a medical mission. They were en route to Springfield Branson National Airport in Missouri. We know the FAA, the NTSB are investigating this. Brianna, we see you there still on the screen. I don't know if you are getting more information from your contacts about possibly what's happening.
Actually, Gray, we're being asked to be pushed back a bit from the scene. Police still working hard here, gathering evidence, trying to figure out what happened. So I just wanted to come back here to say that we are moving back a bit, and we will talk to you. But yeah, just looking at this video, I mean, Gray, it's absolutely devastating to see what happened here in this neighborhood. And I mean, and after just all that happened with the other plane crash in the D.C. area. So to see that this is happening so close to home is absolutely devastating.
Okay, we'll continue to follow that, and we're going to get back to our other coverage. And I know that some people are waiting to call in tonight, so we will we'll allow that to happen as well. Let's take another quick break, and then we'll come back and continue with our main subject tonight, the future of Canada, if there even is one, in light of Trump's plan to impose tariffs starting tomorrow. I'll be right back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, bye.
Okay, we're back, and John's going to call in a moment. But first, I do want to, just for full context and to make sure that we're giving you all the information tonight that we can, that's relevant, here's Justin Trudeau saying that he's not going to sugarcoat it. Hard times, it appears, are ahead.
I'm glad you've all joined me today because we're in a critical moment. As President Trump stated yesterday, he is still committed to placing tariffs on Canada starting as early as tomorrow, possibly. Now, we don't know precisely what that could look like, but I do know 2 things. First, if the president does choose to implement any tariffs against Canada, we're ready with a response. A purposeful, forceful, but reasonable, immediate response. It's not what we want, but if he moves forward, we will also act. Deuxièmement, on est prêt pour tous les scénarios possibles. We're ready for whatever scenario comes forward. Et ça, notamment, c'est grâce à vous tous. Votre travail est d'une valeur inestimable et son impact se fait déjà ressentir. The way you have all pulled together regions of the country, industries, thoughtful business leaders and thought leaders to unite as part of Team Canada, to be ready and flexible, whatever comes, is not just the right thing to do, it's also deeply reassuring to Canadians, reassuring to business owners, to workers, and to people around the world who look to Canada as a key partner. You've been speaking out, stressing that tariffs against Canada would have disastrous consequences for the United States, putting American jobs at risk, raising prices on Americans, and undermining our collective security. Votre point de vue et vos conseils ont été d'une valeur inestimable pour guider notre réponse à la menace d'imposition de droits de douane. Vous avez aidé à rassurer les Canadiens pendant une période difficile et pleine d'incertitudes. You've shown what it means to be part of Team Canada, fighting for this country we all love so much. At the same time, our government has responded to what the president is focused on and what is motivating him to consider applying tariffs as early as tomorrow, the flow of fentanyl and illegal crossings into the United States. Now, let me reiterate it. Our border is safe and secure, and less than 1% of fentanyl and illegal crossings into the United States come from Canada. We're committed to keeping it that way by addressing current challenges and strengthening our capacity. That's why we're implementing the $1.3 billion border plan we announced late last year. In fact, the first patrol helicopters began monitoring the border earlier this week, and new canine teams along with imaging tools are being deployed to detect and stop the flow of fentanyl. Meanwhile, our previously implemented border measures are already showing results too. We've ended the practice of flagpoling, when temporary residents travel to the United States only to immediately return to Canada to access immigration services, a decision that's saving Canadian and American border officials time and resources. And we're bringing in heightened security for visa applications, which has resulted in an 89% drop in illegal crossings by foreign citizens to the United States in the second half of last year. This is real progress. As the President's Commerce Secretary nominee acknowledged the other day, it demonstrates that we are committed to the Canada-U.S. relationship, committed to upholding the safety and security of our shared border. And while we will continue to explain that Canada is the trading partner the United States needs for its long-term prosperity and global security, Canada has steel and aluminum, critical minerals, clean and affordable energy, stable democratic institutions, shared values, and the best workers in the world. Right now, we're showing the new American administration that they have a strong partner in Canada when it comes to upholding border security, all while simultaneously underscoring that we won't back down, that if tariffs are implemented against Canada, we will respond. We won't relent until tariffs are removed, and of course, everything is on the table. Part of what this council has been doing is pulling together perspectives from across industries, from across different parts of the country to make sure that anything we do will be fair right across the country, that all Canadians will share in the job of standing up for our interests and, quite frankly, standing up to defend the most successful trading relationship in the world. One of the things that this council has been very strong on is saying that this is the opportunity for Canada to move forward internally on free trade within Canada. As we look at challenges with the United States, as we sign free trade deals over the past years with the world, we know that internally, within provinces and across territories, there are barriers that exist that would be better for Canadian businesses, Canadian workers, and the Canadian economy if we removed. So we have stepped up our actions on internal trade, As we speak right now, Minister Anita Anand is hosting a meeting of provincial trade ministers elsewhere in this building to move forward on ambitious proposals on internal trade. We know there are things we can do to increase Canada's competitiveness and effectiveness in a more complex world, and moving forward on internal trade with new energy is something that this Council has been directly encouraging us and responsible for us doing. Of course, I won't sugarcoat it. Our nation could be facing difficult times in the coming days and weeks. I know Canadians might be anxious and worried, but I want them to know the federal government, and indeed all orders of government, have their backs. That was the topic of conversation 2 days ago when I had a First Minister's meeting with all premiers. Nos entreprises, nos syndicats, notre société civile et la grande majorité des premiers ministres des provinces et de dizaines de millions de Canadiens d'un océan à l'autre parlent d'une seule voix. Le Canada est prêt à toute éventualité et c'est en grande partie grâce à vous qui avez dédié tant de votre temps et votre énergie pour protéger le Canada et le préparer. Now is the time to stand united, to stand together, to work together, as Canadians often do, to defend our country. That's exactly what we're going to do. So let's get back to work. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Merci tout le monde.
What is step one tomorrow, Prime Minister?
Thank you very much.
So we'll see where it goes. The impact is going to be swift and broad because it won't be isolated to the industries that are just exporting. This is going to be across the economy. And tonight, I'm going to pledge this. I'm so disgusted with Trump and what he is doing that these T-shirts that we had made up, we still have a few. And tonight, because what Trump is doing is going to be so devastating on the most vulnerable in Canada and the United States for that matter, that anybody who donates $30 or more, I will send you one of the Trump T-shirts, the fight T-shirts of your choice, one of the two different types. And any proceeds from it, I'm going to make sure that it gets over to the food bank here in my community. Because it's just something that I can do. And I don't want the money from them. I don't want anything to do with them other than to say that I'm going to make sure that any proceeds from them goes to something good to counteract the negative effects that will be inflicted upon this country, the wounds that he will be inflicting upon the poor and the people who already are unable to afford food. So that's where it's going to go. So I'll run the commercial or the promotion for it here again. And if you're inclined, you can donate tonight. And I'll make sure that, and I don't want anything from him.
He's a fighter. He's a survivor. President Trump, defiant, strong. He is determined to make America great again. Pay tribute to the 45th President of the United States with this collectible T-shirt from the Maverick News Memorable Moments collection. Even a would-be assassin's bullet could not stop him. Instead, he emerged with his fist in the air ready to fight. For freedom. Get your Trump Fighting for Freedom T-shirt with any donation of $30 or more to Maverick News. There are two iconic artistic designs to choose from. But there is only one way to get these. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Support free speech. Free media. Support Maverick News. Call 1-866-248-1490 or order online at supergeeks.tv.
Yep. You don't donate $30 or more. Tell me what size you need. I'll send you the T-shirt. Do with it what you will. And the proceeds from it will go over to the food bank. And maybe it'll help somebody who is already on the edge and maybe is about to tip over. We've got too much stress in our communities already. those Canadians are absolutely, definitely not ripping off the United States. So, have at it. Here's our caller. John Rimby, Scotty from Alberta. How are you tonight, my friend?
Well, Rickster, am I the trader from Alberta calling in?
I hope not. I hope you've come around. It seems like you did the other night. Are we on Team Canada or what?
Always Team Canada, but a preface, Rick. Joseph Leonard, I really admire him as a contributor to the show. He's an incredible guy.
Yep.
But Team Canada, I'm always on Team Canada.
Yeah. You got your hockey stick out.
Rick, actually, in my crew, I've got a private crew. My oil jet is sitting on the side of the southern border.
Hey, John, I've got another call coming in. Can you call back? Because I want to save your call. Call me back after this one, okay? Go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, this is Rock the Casbah.
Hello, Rock the Casbah.
I'd like to talk to you.
Awesome. You're on.
I'd like to... Awesome, so we're live, eh?
We are.
I'd like to speak with you about this aspect of Canadians wanting to be a part of America, or the annexation of Canada, or, in fact, earning the semblance of citizenship towards being an American citizen.
Sure. Where are you calling from, by the way?
I've seen a lot of rhetoric.
Are you on the U.S. or the Canadian side? Where are you calling from?
From the Canadian side. From Canadians wanting to be a part of America at this point.
Sure, go ahead.
I've been on both sides of it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's I went through the convoy. I'm an unvaccinated Canadian in Ontario right now.
Yeah.
I've definitely felt the breadth of censorship and the lack of opportunities that are available to Canadians that were being medically discriminated against.
Yeah.
During that time. In terms of the weakness of Canada at this point, I'd like to understand your thoughts about when we're seeing so many YouTubers and online influencers talking about and literally milking the destruction of Canada, which I think we all believe to be a controlled demolition at this point, that they're all making their nice little exits at this point. They've all made their money, and they're moving to other countries and nations, and they're still continuing to talk about the destruction of Canada while seemingly trying to, be a patriot of it.
Yeah, yeah. Kevin O'Leary being one, Chris Sky being another. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I found it in very poor taste that Kevin O'Leary was doing what he was doing.
Jordan Peterson being another.
At the same time,
Jordan Peterson left. Jordan Peterson left Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, great patriot he is.
And there's many in terms of the people that have any wealth in my family or my community. It's all the boomers, right? It's all the people that own houses. It's the people that were the benefit of the benefit of growing up in the time that you did. And is there a morality to going down with the ship, or is there a morality to jump off ship? Would you be able to make heads or tails on something like that? Like I can tell you my opinion, but
I'm not sure what you mean. Is there a morality? In a way, I suppose there is, because Canada has given, in my case, it's given me everything I have. At the same time, I share so many of your concerns, but what I see going on is coercion. I see an attempt to rip the country apart, a country that it remains in a state of evolution, and and it's being ripped apart by a guy who has presented himself as a solution to an assault on freedom, when in fact what he's doing has nothing to do with freedom. It's quite the opposite. It's very authoritarian. It's certainly not democratic. It's coercive, and he's a false prophet, and he's deceived us. Didn't really.
Would we rather see Canadians? Sorry to interrupt.
Let me just add this one. Let me just add this one thing. People who think that they're going to get something better because we got locked down or because we had mandates and so on here, they had the same problems in the United States. And the real architect of all of it is the guy right now who's threatening our very country. And people keep giving him a pass. He's so fake about everything. He's fake all the way down the line, and just portrays himself as a victim on every front. And the truth of the matter is, he's the guy who gave you the vaccine. He was the guy who could have stopped the mandates. And if he had stopped them on the U.S. side, that would have flowed. That the flow of that would have come over onto the Canadian side. But we were following suit, and he did nothing to protect us. Nothing. Oh, I'm just going to leave it to the governors in each of the states. But with the stroke of a pen, an executive order, he could have stopped it all, and never did. People sit there and say they want Anthony Fauci held accountable. Trump could have fired him at any point and came out and said, I don't really want to fire him. I don't want to hurt him. That was a direct quote back in the day. He's the guy who gave all of this to us. And now, within a week of him coming into office, I mean, I also was giving the guy pass after pass after pass, as though, oh, he probably got lied to about the vaccines. Oh, he's just been duped over there. Oh, he really didn't mean to do that. No, he's the guy behind it all. And now it's becoming painfully clear that he's the guy behind everything. He within a week, our entire country's going to fall. He is the deep state. He's the new deep state, or I don't know. It's just it's the deep state. Like it's this ambiguous, murky thing, you know. It's to him the deep state is the Democrats and any bureaucrats that support the Democrats. That's what the deep state is to him.
I guess was his current establishment, which is being, swamped out, I guess.
Yeah, he's firing everybody. He's got a list of people in the FBI he's going to fire. He's firing all the bureaucrats. He's offering people, severance packages to leave, blaming everything on DEI without even getting any facts about plane crashes. Oh, that's DEI. Yeah, just instantly coming to a conclusion without any information from any of the investigators on anything. It's all DEI. Everything's DEI. The wildfires in California, plane crashes. It's all because maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe it contributes, maybe it didn't. In this particular case, was that air traffic controller black, or was that air traffic controller gay, or was that air traffic controller blind, deaf, and dumb? I doubt it. So I mean, let's start dealing, and the tragedy and all of that, and the real danger with this idiot at the helm in the White House who duped me too, is that you're not going to get down to the nitty gritty and really solve these problems, because he's just politicizing everything. It's all DEI now. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, because he's actually at war with liberalism and anything progressive. He's just using that as a political crutch, honestly, and a shield to protect himself from any accountability on his side now. It's a joke, but it's not a joke. He's not joking. Anyway, what's your opinion? I talk all the time. You go ahead.
To what extent do you think the Americans are, through their patriotism and sense of freedom, are laying the foundations towards the thing that we were all very much worried about 20 years ago, which was the NWO and the American Union? How much infrastructure do you think is being laid down in the sense of patriotism and independence right now?
I'm sorry. I'm not sure I follow your question. How much?
No, just in terms of like the data banks that are being declared. There's a lot of infrastructure being developed. There's they're saying they're going to develop all this basically new system, right?
Yeah.
It seems like they're setting the foundations down for the CBDCs. It seems like they want to be in front of Bitcoin and XRP and whatever Elon's trying to do.
I mean, that's the thing. Everything with Trump has turned upside down, and so he cloaks everything, right? He banned the central bank digital currency as an executive order, but on the next executive order, he's embracing Bitcoin, and they're going to really tie the U.S. dollar to Bitcoin. So there's your CBDC right there. Get it?
Yeah.
And then he's like, if I'm against vaccine mandates and blah, 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 blah. And I'm appointing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be Health and Human Services Director because we're going to go to war with Big Pharma. And then he goes next door and has a news conference with big tech oligarchs who are going to invest $500 billion in artificial intelligence to develop vaccines that will be ready for you in 24 hours.
Exactly. It's like Doug Ford's reopening Ontario plan. The plan is the opposite of what they're doing.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
In plain sight, we got to wake up, and unfortunately for the future of Canada, the corruption has gotten to a point where I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, we're gonna be a third world nation. So, what do you guys want to do about it?
Yeah.
You know?
And I'd
say reformation. We need to reform our government. Unfortunately, it's going to take some radical changes that you weren't taught about in schools. You're going to have to educate yourself on.
Well, but see, when we talk about that, and that's fine. I mean, if that's what people want, if we want to reform our government, fine, as long as we get to do it on our terms as Canadians, so that we remain a sovereign nation. Because we're not the United States. I don't really want to be part of the United States. Now more than ever, I don't want to be a part of the United States. When I see even what he's doing with these deportations, like, I get that people have problems with the immigration policies, but there's still the rule of law. And what he's done with his executive order and Guantanamo Bay, that is like throwing people's rights right out. These people he's rounding up, we don't know. There's no habeas corpus. There's no due process. They're just going around rounding up people, whoever they want, and they're loading them on the planes. They're going to ship them all off to Gitmo, with no arraignments, no lists of people. We don't even know who they are. They're just saying they're criminals. They don't get a trial. They just get shipped off to Gitmo for a sentence that is what, life? Yeah. A life sentence, because there's no predetermined amount of time. They're just going to put them in there. 30,000 in what really amounts to a concentration camp, like a real concentration camp, not an exaggeration. And then they say, well, you're entitled to a lawyer. Like, I've looked this stuff up. Legally, these people will be entitled to a lawyer, but the government won't supply one, and these people have no money. So they don't have any money to hire a lawyer. So they'll have no legal representation whatsoever. So they're just going to incarcerate people indefinitely and say that they're criminals, but we don't even know if they are. They're criminals because they say they're criminals. That's not rule of law, and that sure as hell isn't freedom. And you know, the problem here, for anybody that really cares about freedom the way I care about freedom, which I've been advocating for and fighting for from the very beginning. It's all about freedom, but there's no freedom there. And if you allow other people's freedom to be violated, then you have no freedom either, because they're coming for you next. And your freedom then becomes an illusion, because there is no rule of law. So Trump, with the stroke of a pen 200 times on day one, basically obliterated the rule of law in the United States. That's not freedom, folks. That's an autocracy. That's authoritarian dictatorship. And that's what you get with that kind of republic. So no thank you. I will take Canada any day of the week over that.
There you go. Awesome. Fucking riffing right now. It's awesome. Honestly, you have to look towards the founding fathers and early American literature to be able to navigate even what's happening today.
Yep.
The idealism that was present in early American literature, the existentialist movement in early American literature is what America was founded on. The freedom of belief, especially with the Quakers, right?
Yeah, the Quakers, yeah.
they're imposing their own. It's almost come full circle at this point with the Americans, where we're getting so much rampant patriotism, where the freedom of beliefs are now starting to, be imposed upon the others' freedom of beliefs, right? So it's, I don't know, it's kind of getting to its natural conclusion. I don't know.
It's and as
the markets are being ransacked right now. We had the Canadian dollar at 68 cents today.
Yeah. See, there it goes. That's 2 cents lower already. And wait until tomorrow, and then into next week, it'll be down to like 60. Now, and we've been in that realm before, but
18th.
Sorry, what's that?
If they were going to do good on their February 18th oil tariff, then that's I've seen from multiple sources that's kind of game over. So let's hope that we can rally as a people to rally our governments to make sure that this doesn't happen. If we do truly care about Canada and that the people that existed or that were born here, or maybe 50% of the population at this point, I'm not sure, but let's rally for, I don't know, just a system that we can all, I don't know, believe in. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Is what I'm trying to say.
I'm with you on that, 100%. And yeah, I mean, again, if people want to change the government, then let's proceed with that, but not under the boot of another country and some president from some foreign government. This is foreign. People are worried about foreign government infiltration or foreign influence. What do you call this? This is foreign influence on our political system.
Yeah.
On our culture.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
So piss off.
They're stepping on our neck.
Yes, they are. Absolutely. And Diane Oakley in the chat, maybe you want to comment on this. She says, so Rick, are you encouraging violence? And you know what? No, I'm not. In fact, quite the opposite. I think, for me, the strategy has to be quite the opposite of that. It has to be very passive. Zero violence for sure.
I appreciate what the certain legal bodies were doing against challenging the prorogation of Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to do. We need to challenge them legally.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where our, GoFundMes and stuff need to go to.
Yeah. And even with the prorogation of Parliament, I mean, I see why Trudeau's doing it. It's because the government has been we're in a period of instability. And so there is actually an argument on the other side of that. You prorogue Parliament so that shenanigans stop in government, so that the government remains stable in a very unstable time. It's sort of like suspending elections during a period of war, right? So that you have continuity of government while they reform things or prepare for an election or whatever. So there's an argument there. On the other hand, I also understand that you need a government that is strong and has a mandate and is fresh going into negotiations. But the problem, as we've seen today, which I've been saying sitting in this chair, it's not about what the things that people think this is about. And Trump is making that very clear tonight. He's not interested in negotiations. He doesn't even want any concessions. So how do you negotiate with someone who's not even asking for anything? He's saying it's about the drugs, which is not really true. He's saying it's about the border, which is also not really true, because we've always had, through history, the world's longest undefended border. That's always been the case. It remains the case now. And while it's undefended, it is still monitored. But nothing has changed in that regard. Certainly nothing has changed in a way like we've done something wrong.
What do you think it's about, then?
Pardon me?
If it's not about if it's not about the border, then,
Mm-hmm.
and the border and what he's asking for, what do you actually think it's about then?
I think he wants the country. I think he either wants the country in whole, or he wants it split apart so that he can take the pieces that he wants. Just like Greenland, just like Panama. China, that's about trade.
That's interesting.
No, 100%.
Greg rallied to your theory there.
That's 100%. That's what he wants. He wants Canada.
I lived in Alberta. I'm in Ontario right now, and I lived in Alberta for 10 years.
Yeah.
There's a culture gap between Ontario and Alberta,
Yes.
between the East and the West.
Yeah.
I actually grew up in Ottawa. The presence of the French there, it's such a elitist sense of thing. Like, I went to a French immersion school, and I was able to, navigate my way through Ottawa growing up until I moved to Alberta at the age of 19. There are culture gaps in our country, and it is palpable.
Yeah.
And I'd struggle to understand how any one of these provinces could become a country, but I could completely understand how one of these provinces could be taken in as a state to the U.S.
Alberta. There's a strong separatist movement out there. He knows that. He's playing to it, and he's taking advantage of it. So he's using the separatist movements in Quebec and out in Western Canada to divide the country. And he knows that a lot of people in Alberta are ready to join the U.S. anyway because they're so fed up with Quebec. And he's got online influencers who are on side, both in Canada and the U.S., who are fueling right now the propaganda machine, jacking everybody up, saying it's Canada's own fault, and it goes beyond just Trudeau. It's like, it's our own fault. No, it's not. No, and Canada's starting a trade war. No, we're not.
There's warfare going on. There's psychological warfare going on at the same time.
Yes.
And just only to play devil's advocate here, it's in Alberta's interest to be able to not be conquered or not be annexed. You know what I mean? It's within your independence that you will not be a part of something else.
Oh, yeah.
You are proud, but I guess the one thing I would ask, because the one thing that's confusing me about this whole sense of, that I remember the referendum. I was pretty young with the Quebec referendum, but in terms of Alberta doing this, who paid for the development of the infrastructure for that province? And would there be some kind of buyout if they were to separate?
Who paid for the infrastructure? You mean the roads and the bridges and the hydroelectric, the electrical infrastructure, stuff like that?
The oil sands and stuff. I think it's maybe, from what I knew, it was a lot of Chinese companies developing that too.
No, not so much. That the oil sands were developed by U.S. companies, Canadian, some government money. They tried, and especially in the 70s, to attract investment, but the National Energy Program, the way it was set up, it was designed to keep energy prices low, oil prices low, so that Canadians could buy the oil even below market prices, and the Americans. And because the prices were kept artificially low by Trudeau's NEP, it stifled investment into Alberta. And so that's why the Alberta government has largely been opposed to, has been angry, I guess, even especially with Quebec, because the fact that the policies of the federal government have resulted in Alberta having to sell its oil sort of below market value. It's a captured market, right? And they really have to sell it into the U.S. and just into Canada itself. Not enough access to international markets, so they have to sell below market value. They always have. It stifles investment into the product. Plus, you have transfer payments from have provinces to have not provinces, and people in Alberta resent it because they take through taxation a lot of the oil revenue and then redistribute it to, the Northwest Territories or northern communities where people don't have access to proper facilities. So they or out to
communism 2.0.
Well, no, it's not. It's not communism. It's the way. It's a country.
It's a structure too, though. I mean, and that's a good discussion to have. Is that one? If you're going to live in a grand nation like Canada that has the geography that it does, there's many minerals that can be mined. There's many there's fresh water resources. It's not no one province has it all.
Right.
And
yeah, and that's
right?
the important
it's not a sense
thing.
of communism, it's a sense of a working independent machine.
It's it's working together. What we have here is not communism. There's some socialism certainly here, and more than I care for sure, but there is.
Sorry, I would say communism, but in the sense of not sharing too much. But what I'm actually understanding right now with the reserves that we've had, and as untapped as they've been untapped, that do you think perhaps that it's been reserved for maybe a future time? Maybe that's why it's not been tapped, or maybe there's some kind of agenda to,
the oil?
Maybe something like that. With
you mean the oil reserves?
The oil, the everything, the gold in Ontario, the nickel, the everything.
It's been stifled because other countries get involved through, I would say, environmental groups or organizations or groups that masquerade as environmental groups or other political action groups that are influenced by foreign governments in order to prevent the use of our natural resources, because those countries have those natural resources. So you have oil-rich countries trying to stop the production of oil in Canada. And that would even include the United States, or they manipulate things so that it's to their advantage. It's to the advantage of the United States if we can't sell our oil to other countries and the pipelines have to run down through the U.S. Or it's to the advantage of investors, capitalists like Kevin O'Leary, who knows where to invest, when to invest, and takes advantage of relationships, maybe on the U.S. side, say, or, if he's got a cozy enough relationship with Donald Trump that he can go down there and have a private meeting with him and the Premier of Alberta. And this is a guy who's got investments in oil pipelines, including, I believe, the Dakota Pass pipeline. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he does. And a guy who's wants to buy TikTok, is offering $20 billion, and Trump is, this is rich people who claim to be advocating for Canada when in fact I think they're really just fighting for themselves. And it's a guy who doesn't even live here most of the time, and claims to be Canadian, but left the country.
Well, and that's kind of the sense that I was concerned about, is that he's going on TV and parading around, trying to masquerade as some kind of person that's representing Canada or the U.S. or both.
And he's not elected, doesn't represent Canada.
Exactly. We're starting to worship these entrepreneurial oligarchs now, like Elon Musk and stuff. I would caution against that, obviously. As much as Elon Musk wants to do, he wants to do good and bad things, essentially, right? So
yeah, like there's another example, right? Everybody's worried about being tracked if you go out by 15-minute cities. This is Elon Musk. He's the guy who wants to put chips into your brain with Neuralink, like digital ID. He wants to chip you like a dog.
Yeah, he's one of the first purveyors of it.
Yeah.
It's at the same time, he's also giving Starlink to northern Ontario places where you can actually start to think about navigating to northern Ontario or remote places, and
But I'm sure he won't. I'm sure he won't skim any data off that for his own use, right? And I'm sure that Twitter.
Absolutely, he will.
I'm sure Twitter is completely clean. Well, it's just a free speech platform, but he's not collecting any data on you to sell it to advertisers or anything.
That's exactly what it is. You're bang on the point there.
And he doesn't want anything for the $270 million he spent to get Trump in the White House.
Sorry?
He doesn't want anything for the $270 million he spent to get Trump elected. It's on me,
Yes,
Donald.
Exactly, yeah. All of his contributions, yeah. Just like Bernie Sanders was saying yesterday at the getting RFK Jr. into Israel, and they had to stand off there yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same thing.
Yeah. Collecting money off those onesies, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and how colloquial it got. I'm like, oh my God, this is the world stage, eh? Okay, I see what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you guys make sure you're taking care of yourselves, people in the chat, everybody. I love you. I love you to death. Make sure you're looking after yourselves and your families. And for the Canadians around here, we'll get through it together.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in tonight, man. This is a great call, and I really appreciate it very much.
No, you've been a great guy, man. I've been watching you since the convoy, essentially, and yeah, you've been doing a great job, man. So
thank you. Well,
keep it on, man.
All right, look forward to the next call. Thank you so much.
Thanks, bud.
Okay, and lines are open, so if you want to call, I should put it up on the screen, I guess. So I haven't even done that yet, actually. Here we go, and I know John wants to call back. So we got to get him back on. Here it is. Call 1-519-401-1373 if you want to join the conversation. And I guess everybody's asking, is there a movie tonight? Yeah, I think so. We've got a call coming in. I want to do a Wolfman movie tonight. Okay. Hey, who's on the line?
It's a good old Dragon.
Dragon from Montreal. My good friend from Quebec.
Hey, how are you?
Excellent, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great, despite the unfortunate moments that we're facing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What can I tell you? Brace yourself, folks. It's going to be a big one.
It's going to be a big one. I think you're right. I think it's going to be a lot bigger than people realize. 2 years I've been sitting here saying, Canada's in play. Somebody wants this country. I can tell. And then people are saying, I think we should take over Canada, some of these U.S. influencers. And Tucker Carlson comes along and says, Justin Trudeau, I'm calling your office to tell you that I'm coming to Canada to liberate your country. And people are like, oh, he's just joking. Oh, he's such a joker. I said, he's not joking. And then you've got Lieutenant Steve Rogers, Captain America, saying that it's pretty soon the United States is going to liberate Canada. Yeah, you liberate. That usually means like invade. In case you haven't noticed through history, that's often the way that plays out. They invade someplace to liberate them. So it's coming, I guess.
You know what? I'm going to go with my comic history facts. And you know what? Captain America can go F himself. You know why? Because he was Hydra sometimes. So, yeah, no thank you, okay, Mr. Hydra? Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm pissed off.
Yeah, I am too. I'm pissed off too. And I apologize to everybody because, Trump was duping me. He had me fooled. He really did. Right up, I was like, what's going on with this guy? You can see a change, a shift, but the mask is coming off very quickly. You can see behind the veil now. Oh, yeah, he's a jerk. And I think that a lot of the stuff people have been saying about him is just straight up true.
I'll be honest, the people here, and it will probably surprise a few, but right, and I was like, guys, you don't want him. I just like the guy anyway. I did actually kind of change my point of view at some point. Probably he has changed. Something is probably, I don't know. We could probably have, I could have probably just been misled at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that, no, my first impression was the good one. You shouldn't trust this guy. And, yeah, well, I've been fooled myself. So fool you once, shame on you, and fool you twice, you know the rest. So, yeah, that's what it is for me.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm a fiscal conservative, right? So I don't like big government. I'm not a big advocate of socialism. I like fairness. I like a little compassion and empathy. So I'm cool with that. And I can deal with a little bit of socialism because we need to compromise and live in peace, right? So that's fine with me. And I don't mind helping out people who really need help and giving people a hand up, not necessarily a handout. Those kinds of concepts, I'm cool with it. All right, it's fine. But I like free markets. That's what I thought Trump was largely going to be about. He didn't really get through his first term in office, and then everything turned to crap. And now here we are, and he's at it again. And I'm sorry, but this is not about free markets. This isn't about limited government. It's quite the opposite. We're getting massive government. We're getting authoritarianism. We're getting one guy making up all the rules, not even following the rules. He's breaking the rules, breaking the law. He's above the law with his executive orders, things that aren't even constitutional, and he's just making them so anyway. He's not even following the rules in the way that he fires people, for crying out loud. And he doesn't care. He's just Mr. Donald Destructo. And now we're only a week in, and Canada is about to fall. He's waging economic warfare on us. I'm sorry, but I'm not on board with this. No need for it at all. And it's very clear that all this other stuff that's come before that has been destabilizing Canada, it's been very hard to kind of figure out exactly where it's coming from. What's causing all? It's him. It's been him all along. Yeah. And the people around him, and the people who are unwittingly supporting him. And then people are saying, well, you've got foreign influence in your government. You've got traitors, MPs. Well, if you look up the definition of traitor, I mean, we can get into this more later. He's using that as justification for what is ultimately coming. It's the border's not secure. You've got corruption. You've got criminals. It's just this ongoing, it's your own damn fault. It's Trudeau's fault. It's the government's fault. It's not going to matter if it's Pierre Poilievre or anybody else in there at this point. It wouldn't matter. It's not matter. He's already said he doesn't care what Pierre Poilievre says. And people and all the Canadian politicians, Dragon, they're all saying, well, let's give him what he wants. So they're trying. They're securing the border. What else do you want, Donald? What do you want? He doesn't want. There's nothing we can do. It doesn't matter. Yeah. He's just doing
whatever we do, he's not going to be happy whatever we do because, he's determined to put us the sanctions, basically.
Yep. Because the goal is not any of the above. The goal is to get people, to starve people, to impose sanctions, or in this case, tariffs, so that people suffer and rise up against the government, to throw it out. This is, I'm sorry to tell you folks, in my view, this is regime change. But not just not just getting rid of Trudeau. I mean, this is change of government. This is no different than what is done with other countries where they may be at war and they impose sanctions or other economic measures in order to cut supply chains off, cause disruptions among the population so that the people rise up against their own government. And then they inject information warfare in there. And I think there's another layer to this. I don't think Donald Trump is acting alone, and I don't believe that he's actually acting in the best interests of America. This is not in the best interests of America, not really. And so there's another layer to this, and it's going to be peeled off, I think, over time, that people will begin to see. And I'm not going to say any more than that, but this isn't America. And that's not the America I know. It's not the America we've always known. It's not the America we've lived next to for over a century and a half. The United States never really ever did this to us before. Not like this. Not like this. No, and this is devastating.
Using basically a part of Putin's playbook and probably even the Third Reich just to give you a perspective.
And Putin's loving this. The Russians are loving this because Trump is acting exactly the way the United States has been accused of acting, like a big bully and, you know, a fake free country. A big, fat, fake free country. So, yeah. And it looks like we've lost her. Hang on a second here. Dragon, I've got a call coming in, so I have to jump off here, and I need to go to a break so that I can take the call.
Perfect.
Okay,
So
talk
have
to
a good one, guys.
you too.
Take care.
Talk to you later. Bye for now. Okay, so let me take a break, and I will be back in a moment. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call now, 1-519-401-1373. One 519-401-1373. Exercise your right to free speech. That's 1-519-401-1373. That's 1-519-401-1373. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
He's a fighter. He's a survivor. President Trump, defiant, strong. He is determined to make America great again. Pay tribute to the 45th President of the United States with this collectible t-shirt from the Maverick News Memorable Moments collection. Even a would-be assassin's bullet could not stop him. Instead, he emerged with his fist in the air ready to fight. For freedom. Get your Trump Fighting for Freedom t-shirt with any donation of $30 or more to Maverick News. There are two iconic artistic designs to choose from. But there is only one way to get these. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Support free speech. Free media. Support Maverick News. Call 1-866-248-1490 or order online at supergeeks.tv.
Okay, I'm back, and we have John on the line. I'm sorry we were jumping off and back and forth and everything and interrupting you there, John, but you're back, and I'm eager to hear what you have to say.
Well, Rick, it's the trader from Alberta. How are you doing, my friend?
Okay. Even though you're from oil-rich Alberta and you guys are... Well, anyway, you just go ahead. Tell me what you think.
Well, I love you guys. I love you. We're always Team Canada, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Team Canada. Absolutely. I love Joseph too, Leonard. You know, he's an incredible guy.
Yeah, me
we
too.
love him too.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't remember where we left off with your call.
I'm trying to think. I'm a little. Yeah, I'm thinking. Well, the bottom line is I'm Team Alberta. I think the orange orangutan is, Mr. Trump. I'm a Trumpster. Yeah. My relatives in Minnesota are pissed off with him too. They don't like him attacking us in Canada. It's not good. It's not good, Rickster.
Well, I mean, I see, we've got lots of trolls in there tonight and lots of people hammering on me because it's the Team Trump, he can do no wrong. He's a deity, a god or something in some people's minds. Like, I don't know. Not so much with me, but Charlie Angus, the member of parliament who has been, I think, one of the most vocal critics of Trump on this particular issue, came out today, and I'm going to run this clip, John, while you're on the line. You might want to turn the audio up on your feed while this runs so you can hear what he has to say. But he's been part of a broader Team Canada effort, and I think he's got a message for all Canadians that he's trying to deliver here tonight. So let's hear what he has to say.
And Indigenous militant activists. We represent the incredible regions of our beautiful country.
Here we go.
Pour développer un mouvement de résistance partout au Canada pour défendre notre pays et notre valeur. We are here this morning, my friends, as an unlikely group with leaders from across the political spectrum who've come together with cultural leaders, artists, academics, athletes, labor activists, and Indigenous militant activists. We represent the incredible regions of our beautiful country, and we are here for one reason. Our nation, our beloved Canada, is under threat. It is an economic threat, but it's also a threat to our values of decency and inclusion. It's a threat to our sovereignty and our very future as a nation. The threat comes, of course, from the President of the United States, a convicted felon and known predator. He's threatening massive tariffs to try and break us as a people. But the threat is also being driven by the hate algorithms of the oligarchs like Elon Musk. And there is the threat from people in our own country who would sell out our birthright to appease the gangster class from Mar-a-Lago. That is not going to happen. This morning, we launched the Pledge for Canada. We have signatories from across the cultural and political spectrum. We are asking Canadians to join and sign on today. It's a plan of resistance supporting a vision of our nation and what it should be and what it is that will not be traded away by appeasement. And it's a pledge for ordinary Canadians to hold their elected representatives to account, to defend our values that we hold dear. I've been honored to be part of this team. It started out as a small group, reaching out to other Canadian voices to try and find a way to come together in this age of Trump. And what we learned very quickly is that Canadians are proud and fiercely determined. We love our country and we will stand up for it. And what we are calling for today is an all-of-Canada approach in dealing with Trump. It's about fighting to protect all of our regions and our jobs, our linguistic, cultural, and Indigenous rights. We will not give up our belief in inclusive democracy, equity, and human rights. We need to combat the foreign interference from both the public and private actors and the manipulations of the digital platforms and defend our people against the rule of the oligarchs. We must give priority at this time to protecting our environment, to maintain control of our water, and staying focused on fighting the climate crisis. And it's becoming very clear that to build resiliency for Canada in this increasingly turbulent world, it means actually lessening our dependency on our southern neighbor.
Hear, hear.
To strengthen our collective tools and institutions to build the Canada that we want, not the world that Trump is trying to create. And that means reaching out to democratic allies around the world who are determined to protect democracy from the likes of Trump and Putin. And we cannot turn away our historic role of being a humanitarian friend for those suffering in this world. Our borders must continue to welcome and protect those seeking and deserving shelter in our lands. Okay, so what does a pledge mean? Well, today is the beginning of a grassroots resistance. We're asking people from across Canada to sign their names, to join us so we can start to build this movement. This is going to be the first stage of a much broader-based resistance to defend the values of our beloved country and to respect the sacrifices of Canadians who came before us and gave their all so that other nations might live in peace. We will not squander their legacy. We are Canada, and our message to Donald Trump is we will not bend or break no matter what happens. We pledge to be there for Canada. I turn it over to John Cartwright now. Thank you.
Bonjour tout le monde. Good day. My name is John Cartwright. I'm a carpenter by trade. I started my trade at the age of 18. And today I'm the chairperson of the Council of Canadians. And when we say that word Canadians, I think of my family that came here from elsewhere looking for a better life, as millions and millions of us have, whether as immigrants or refugees. Our Council of Canadians was formed 40 years ago. People like Mel Hurtig and Maud Barlow warned that a free trade agreement that was so unfair would have tremendous impact on our country. And in fact, we saw what happened. Hundreds of thousands of jobs were decimated within the first few years. Our society changed dramatically, and it locked us into a dependency of trade patterns that made us far more vulnerable to the threats that Donald Trump is making today. His actions are going to hurt people. His actions are going to hurt our communities. Doesn't matter which place or what kind of community people belong to, there will be impacts. And in fact, it is a reminder of a modern-day economic gunboat diplomacy. Canada is not perfect. You know, since the first peoples came here, generations of immigrants and refugees have sought refuge, as Charlie has said. But we know it's a work in progress, and we know it's worth the fight. Some say that we should accommodate Mr. Trump and align our policies and our programs with him. No. And we reject that bad advice. We want to defend the sovereignty of this country, the rights of Indigenous peoples, our healthcare system, our environmental standards, and the social safety net that is so important, that helped us get through COVID, that helps us get through the time of crises, including the mental health crises that so many of our neighbors have gone through in this last period of time. I don't want to see a picture of another family that drowns or freezes to death trying to reach this country because of what Donald Trump is imposing on the people of America. We want to have a safety net for all workers who are going to be impacted. We want a strategy to diversify our trade and to build a different kind of emergency plan for those who not are only losing their jobs, but those young people whose prospects will be changed. We want to see the skills of people building permanently affordable housing, creating a care economy that cares for us at all points of our life and enriches the communities we live in. Canadians want to step up and fight. And we know that it's not just about us as Canadians. We know the actions of Mr. Trump will be impacting on people across the world. And so even though our name is the Council of Canadians, we believe it's so important to reach across borders and to stand in solidarity with all of humankind. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Of the Council of Canadians, we're going to ask Jean Tellier to address us from Victoria, BC on Zoom.
Good morning, everybody from Vancouver. My name is Jean Tellier, and I am the great-grandniece of Louis Riel and a very proud Métis Canadian. And my thoughts go back to 1871, when the Métis in Manitoba were fighting against what was called a reign of terror that Canada was inflicting on them. But when the Fenians started to try to invade Canada, Louis Riel stood up and he said, we have to put aside our own problems right now and fight for Canada, because we joined Canada and we will take up arms to defend Canada. Generations later, my father and my uncles fought in World War II to stand up against the tyranny of Germany. And today, that's what I call what I see coming from the United States. It's tyranny. And that's what I think, that's why I signed this pledge, because I think we have to stand together to fight against tyranny. And I take my example from when Riel put down petty or smaller differences, no matter how big they were, to fight against the larger problem, which was the tyranny coming. Ironically, it was coming from the United States, and here we are again, fighting tyranny from the United States. I think we have to stand together to fight them. And I know it's currently gripping, this tyranny is gripping our neighbor, but I think that we have to stand on guard against it, whether it comes in the guise of Americans or whatever guise it comes on. We have to mobilize, we have to be vigilant, and we have to guard against this, because this is what is going to undermine and eliminate the rights and dignity of the Indigenous peoples of this country. And we have been on a journey for a long time to fight for the rights of Indigenous people, and we've made tremendous strides. We're not there yet, but we have made tremendous strides particularly in the last decade, to change where we were before, and we need to continue on that, or we cannot let this threat from our American friends to override what we've been doing. These are unjust ideas that are coming forward, and they attack the dignity of all Canadians. And I think that I stand together with all the people who stood on this pledge, because we will not move the rights of Indigenous people forward if we bow to the tyranny coming from the United States. It is only by standing together with Canadians. So I'm urging everyone to sign on to this pledge and then to take action to stand up against this threat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jean Tellier, la petite fille de Louis Riel, qui s'est jointe à nous. Merci beaucoup. And now we're going to ask Mark Tewksbury, Olympic gold medal winner and LGBTQ activist, to speak.
Thank you very much. Jean, that was beautiful. It was great to hear your comments. Thank you for the invitation to be here. Good morning, bonjour tout le monde from Calgary. Listen, I've always believed in speaking up. I was inspired as a young man by June Colwood, a journalist and activist, who said, when you see an injustice, you're no longer a bystander, you're a witness, you're a part. So do your part. And that's what I'm doing today by signing this pledge. I'm a proud Canadian. I've represented Canada internationally many times. I'm a companion of the Order of Canada. And I just feel now it's time to double down on Canada, to recognize our own strengths and to take action together. Because what happens if we don't? I've seen coming together as a national swimming team and going to the Olympics to represent Canada. And on paper, we had potential to win 7 or 8 medals. But by the last day of competition, we had won none. Because instead of coming together, we fought against each other. The clubs from Toronto and Montreal competed against Calgary and Vancouver. And so we didn't have to, the world didn't have to beat us, we beat ourselves. We completely imploded. But when we put that kind of thinking aside on the last day of competition and rallied around a common goal, we shocked the world, even ourselves, and we won a silver medal. And it shows the power of what can happen when we unite. I fast forward to Vancouver 2010. I think no matter where you were in the country, you felt a sense of pride from how we hosted those games, from how Team Canada performed at those games. When the athletes left the Vancouver 2010 experience, all the team said the top 2 reasons for why they were so successful, because they were part of one unified Canadian team. There is such power in that. When I was chef de mission in London 2012, the next Olympics, it was my job to keep that tradition going, to make sure that we united as one team to show up the best we could to face the world. For me, this pledge is also about continuing a tradition of uniting around Canadian values, decency, inclusion, upholding human rights, respecting each other. And it's about moving forward collectively on our terms. As Jean urged you to sign this pledge, so do I. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mark, for those inspiring words. We know that we have very, very tough days ahead, and we are going into a time of darkness, and the world is facing a time of darkness. But we are very confident that Canadians have the spirit. Canadians have the love of their land and the love of their neighbor to stand tall. So we are calling on people to be warriors for Canada at this time, to defend our values, and to not give in to the appeasement of Donald Trump and his oligarchs. We're here for you, Canada. This is the Pledge for Canada. We will take any questions that people have right now. Thank you very much. Yes, the website?
Website is engagement.
Engagement.
Pour le Canada.
Pour le Canada. Here,
Pledge
you
for
give it
Canada.
to.
So there's a live website that you can go to sign in either English or French, which lays out the terms of the pledge. And you just search for Pledge for Canada, Engagement pour le Canada. Si vous regardez vous faites une fouille sur Internet, vous allez le trouver. C'est live actuellement. Vous pouvez signer. Il y a une version anglaise et une version française. L'Engagement pour le Canada, Pledge for Canada. And we urge everybody to start by signing, and then the movement takes shape. On va passer à l'action sous peu. Merci à tous et à toutes.
Engagement-Canada-Pledge.ca. Please go to it. Please sign up. We'll take if there's any questions.
Sarah with the Canadian Press. I wonder, Charlie, what you make of the fact that you talked about us reaching out to our democratic allies around the world. What do you make of the fact that Canada's allies really aren't saying a whole lot about Donald Trump threatening these tariffs, threatening to make Canada the 51st state?
Well, we see certainly that Donald Trump is threatening our European allies. He's threatening Denmark and Greenland, and we know that the EU is very focused on that threat right now, because it's not just a threat against the people of Greenland, it's a threat against NATO. This is Donald Trump undermining our allies at a time of dangerous aggression from Putin. But we certainly, as we stand up and these issues start to come forward, we expect to see support from our European allies. We see that Elon Musk has interfered in Germany. We see Donald Trump is threatening regime change in the UK. This is highly dangerous, highly irresponsible. We do need to work across all party lines. And we have to work across all international lines to defend democracy.
You've talked about putting tariffs on things like Teslas. Do you think...
Did I say that? I said 200%. Did I say 200% tariffs?
Yeah, I think you did say 200%.
The douche panzer?
I mean, sanctioning or taking action against the kind of billionaire class that's surrounded Trump right now, is that something that you think would risk retaliation?
Right now, we're facing major threat. But the issue of what we would do, I leave that to our elected officials, because I don't believe that you negotiate in public. Personally, I would throw as much heat on Elon Musk as possible, because he's a deplorable, disgraceful human being. But that's my own personal opinion. But the Pledge for Canada is about rallying Canadians so that we keep the pressure on our elected leaders not to trade away our values in these negotiations, not to trade away fundamental principles that we stand for as Canadians. So I'll leave it to the government in terms of the retaliatory steps that will be taken when the tariffs come in.
Concerns about the risk of American interference in the upcoming election and the leadership race and just generally in Canada's affairs right now?
I have written to Elections Canada. I do not believe we're prepared in any way for dealing particularly with the threat that's coming from Elon Musk, who's revealed himself to be dangerously anti-democratic. And he has one of the most powerful powerful media platforms on the planet right now. And he's shown a willingness to interfere in the UK. He's shown a willingness to intervene in the EU. We see that the EU is demanding access to the algorithm to see if he is trying to push content for extremist groups. I'm asking Elections Canada to do the same thing. We have to protect our election right now. Justice Hogue has begged us to implement her recommendations, and I think her recommendations are only part of the broader threat that we're faced right now.
I'd like to also respond to that question. The Council of Canadians, our slogan is People, Planet, and Democracy. And through this pledge, we're calling on Canadians from all walks of life to organize, to move into action in their own communities across their whole sectors. In the signatories, you'll see leaders from the labor movement, from the student movement, from various community organizations all across this country. And every organization has a constituency that can be involved to build the power that's necessary to protect our democracy, to protect our economy, to protect our society. And so while it's a group of signatories, underneath those signatories is the power of millions and millions of Canadians. And we know from our struggle in the anti-globalization movement 25 years ago that the voices of people in many languages, in many spaces, becomes powerful and can actually change the course of history. We know from Canada, when water was being privatized everywhere across the world, Labour, Council of Canadians, environmentalists came together. We stopped the privatization of water in city after city after city. Meanwhile, in the UK, Thames Water, which was the poster child of privatization, is almost on the verge of bankruptcy, and one of our major pension funds has walked away from $1 billion worth of assets. So we understand the dynamics of people standing up for democracy, for their communities, and for the common good.
Moi, je vais ajouter quelque chose. Au Québec, on a un appel de boycott d'Amazon qui semble prendre de la force. So boycotting is one small step that people can take. I know spontaneously people are calling for boycotts of American products. Don't buy American products when there's a very reasonable Canadian product. On peut commencer comme ça, tout en coupant son abonnement à Amazon, parce que on sait que ça va faire en sorte que 3000 personnes au Québec vont perdre leur job, alors que la situation économique est très difficile pour les gens. So that's one thing people can do. I've even heard people talking about dumping beer in the Halifax Harbor, U.S. beer, which is terrible anyway.
We're not going to pollute the harbor.
There are lots of things we can do. So we're asking for people to be creative, utiliser leur créativité. We know Canadians are very creative, they're very funny, they're very nice, except when they're pushed around.
More about that than the call to action for people here. Aside from sort of signing a pledge, what do you want to see people do? Are you asking people to go, like, be out in the streets protesting?
We're seeing already across Canada groups, individuals, people taking action. The idea of the Pledge for Canada was to bring people together with a set of values so that we focus. And that's what the Pledge is focused on, to have people from, I mean, I never thought I'd be signing a document with Danny Williams and Alan Rock, but hey, we're all Canadian and we all share those same values. And what we're saying is it doesn't really matter where we are on the spectrum of politics and culture. Canada comes first. Once we have started to build this movement, then now we have a network to start coming together with ideas. We're getting lots of creative ideas. I don't think it would be advisable for us now to sort of say the next step and what we're going to do. We're building the pledge, we're building the base of support, and we want to use it in a way that keeps pressure on our elected officials and our business leaders not to sell us down the river to the likes of Donald Trump.
Another question for you here. There's a political scientist, Emmett McFarlane, who said it's time to sanction some American billionaires who are close to Trump. Do you agree with that?
Well, again, as my colleague said, we saw what Jeff Bezos did in Quebec to thousands of Quebec jobs for people daring to unionize. Well, to hell with Jeff Bezos. The right of Canadians to make their own decisions about employment is important. We see Elon Musk is a major threat to democracy. Whether or not we move on those steps right now, I'm going to defer to the government, who will have to respond to Mr. Trump tomorrow. But I think the pressure to hold these characters accountable in the way we held other oligarchs, particularly Putin's oligarchs, to account, Canada's going to have to defend itself. This is going to be a tough time. We're going to have to make tough decisions, but we have to be strong.
Finally, for me here, Canada and the Western world have long been able to rely on the United States as a partner, an ally, a leader in the world. Do you think we are too slow to react to what seems like an unprecedented shift from the Americans right now?
I think Canadians just assumed everything would be okay because they're our cousins. We know Americans. We live along the border. But what happened on November 5th was a dangerous shift, an anti-democratic shift, a threat that we see being played out with them going into schools to try and deport children, the suspension of basic democratic rule of law. Canada is susceptible to that. What I'm feeling, and I think what we feel, is that Canadians are out way further ahead than our politicians. Canadians get the threat. Canadians get the need to defend who we are. What's concerning is whether or not our leaders have our backs the way we Canadians expect. And this is part of why the pledge is here, is to push for this vision, to say these are our values and we're not trading them away. But we are going to have to step up very quickly.
I'm going to just jump in on that. And I think the call is for people to take their creativity and ensure that that's impacted in the political decisions that are made. I'm a cancer survivor. The stuff that I was given to work with for the first 10 years brought about the lymphoma that's running through my blood. But health and safety activists like me were able to dramatically change laws, dramatically able to change how products are created, and a mass movement that changed laws all across this country. We saw in Quebec the students with the Car Rouge standing up for the right to accessible education. We saw people demanding environmental and pollution laws so that lakes you could swim in again, rather than being afraid you're going to get sick. We saw workers demanding the right to have public health care. There's a plaque in Windsor, Ontario, by the auto workers that said, "We won the first industrial health plan of all workers in the 1950s. We will not rest till all Canadians have health care." We have examples from across this country, from Idle No More to people like Art Manuel and others, our ancestors who organized Punjabi farm workers in British Columbia, our ancestors organized fisher folks to have a collective voice. Canadians have a lot of creativity. We understand how we can build power to demand a just world based on racial, economic, and climate justice. And that's what the call is, to step up, to use creativity, and to build the power to say we demand a better world, not one defined by Donald Trump.
And I'll just say one closing thought. I remember the days when we fought the free trade agreement and talked about Canada as a branch plant of the United States. And the agreement took place and was imposed on workers. And John alluded to the number of people who lost their jobs. People like my father, who was a unionized auto worker, who would have lost his job. So we're not just calling on the people of Canada. We're trying to put pressure on the leadership, political and economic, to develop a spine and push back against this. We know the Canadian ruling class has tended to be pretty compliant, but now even they are a bit nervous. We've seen Stephen Harper, Jean Chrétien. I bet a lot of people in the C-suite are thinking, whoa, what's going on now? So we need those people to start paying attention, serious, close attention to what we're saying and what the threat is, because it's very real. We've had tariff wars with the U.S. before. This one is probably the most extreme. So that's the purpose, I think, also in the long term. Now, that's very grandiose. We'll see how it goes. But c'est ça l'idée, c'est de faire pression sur les oligarques canadiens, entre autres, nos patrons, les notables, de développer un peu de cran et de guts pour faire face à la menace.
Thank you.
Voilà.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Merci.
There you have it. And I guess now that this is where the rubber hits the road and we find out who real patriots are and who the fake Canadians are, I guess, or whatever. I was going to use another word, but I don't want to be too colorful. John, you're back on. What are you thinking, sir?
Well, Rick, we're back on. Rick, I was running late for the show. I have a new chauffeur. Did he tell you? I hired a new chauffeur today.
Who's that?
Her name is Amanda, and she's amazing. Absolutely. She shows up on time, crisp, clean, ready to go, no DEI. And you know where she comes from, Rick? Rick.
I'm listening.
She comes from the City of Calgary transit system. She picked me up and I got her on a bus. Mm-hmm. And she's incredible. Incredibly. We got a shout out to all those wonderful people working for everybody. I love her.
Kitty.
Love you, Amanda.
And Kitty says, real patriots, what? Well, are you going to stand up for democracy? Are you going to stand up for your sovereignty? Are you going to stand up for your country? You going to defend Canada, or are you going to capitulate? Because a patriot is someone who is patriotic to their country. So are you a patriot or a pussy? Like, because right now Donald Trump is grabbing all the pussies by the pussies.
Well, Rick, you just opened the door. Would you rather have a PUSSY in the White House, or that could have been Kamala? Sorry, Mother Malva. Sorry, Heaven. Sorry, Lord. Sorry. Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Look, Kitty, I love you. I'm just saying, for all the people who are giving up on their country, you got to find a new word, because patriot ain't it. That's it. What else can I say?
True Canadian, Rickster.
And we are, yeah.
From the East Coast to the West Coast, Rickster, Alberta, we're Team Canada, my friend.
We are Team Canada, and people are saying Rick's a liberal.
Canada,
Rick's a liberal. Yeah, well, if you're looking at this issue along ideological lines like that, then I don't think you're looking at it right. This isn't partisan, and it's not even politically ideological. It's about whether you think Canada has a right or whether it should exist as a country. Do we want our country? Do you want your country? What have you been fighting for? It's not about liberal, NDP, conservative, Green Party, PPC, United Party of Canada, Communist Party, whatever. It's about our right as sovereign Canadians to decide through elections what kind of government we ultimately end up with. It's about self-determination, our right to self-determine, our destiny, not bend the knee and give up to an authoritarian who is influencing and infiltrating our political process. This isn't Donald Trump's country, and he's got no business in here using coercive measures to threaten our country. This is an existential threat to Canada. It's a form of warfare. Make no mistake. He's gone to war with Canada. And it's Donald Trump who's done it, nobody else. Donald Trump has gone to war with Canada and Mexico. And China, for that matter. Economic warfare. He's treating us the same as he is treating his enemies.
Well, Rick, include Alberta in that one. Include Alberta in that one, bro. Right? Include Alberta on that one. It is on the southern border, Richter, with our Canadian hockey sticks. And we're going to defend our border, Richter. We're going to put up bombs.
Yeah, Sharon Baxter says, fix the effing border. Sharon.
It never needed to be fixed, Sharon.
He didn't.
You're a moron, Sharon. You're a moron, Sharon.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He said he doesn't care. It's not just about the border, because the border is just like it's a manufactured excuse, and you're going to see more of them. You're going to see more of the social media posts about this crap, finding justification for Trump taking these actions, and then ultimately, if we don't bend the knee and give him what he wants, what he really wants in the end, then you're going to see even more dramatic action, and you'll see a real division, and I fear possibly something more, shall I say, dramatic here in Canada in a way that we've never seen it, probably since like the War of 1812, and maybe before that.
Rick, you're going back in history now.
Yeah.
That's really good. Wait till the orange orangutan meets a nasty Quebecer with no protein. Ooh, that's worse than the Mexican, Rick.
And
Quebecer with no protein.
And there are people within our government who are part of this. So beware of that. And there are people from various groups. If you're listening to people who are telling you that this is Canada's fault, you're listening to people who are helping this along and dividing Canadians. That's what they're doing. That's the unwitting, or maybe witting, participation in foreign influence and infiltration. And no, somebody said before, Rick, are you calling for violence? No, absolutely not. We won't win this through any kind of violent action. Quite the opposite. You need to stay 150,000% peaceful through all of this. And we have to be very careful about any actions we take in order to defend the country, to make sure that it's not too aggressive, so that it can't be interpreted or misconstrued or misrepresented to people as some sort of threat to the United States. Because make no mistake, that's exactly what they're going to want to. That's what they'll use as justification to come in here and just exert force upon us and just take over. This is the real deal, folks. It's coming down to the brass tacks. And no, I don't want a war with the United States. We didn't pick this fight, Patty. Quite the opposite. And you know damn well I don't want that. You know I don't want that.
Well,
you want war with the US,
we're,
you think
we're
because you're
Canadians. We're all about peace, love, and unity, and we're all about beavers and maple syrup
Yep.
and RCMP officers.
Yep.
And that's on the tourism side, Rickster. We welcome everybody around the world
Yep.
to the greatest country in the world, and it's called Canada. It's called Canada. Canada. Free of the brave and the love that we love everybody.
And Patty, you can stuff that, because you know damn well I'm not. In fact, quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. I'm going to take this other call, John. Hang on.
Because you know damn well I'm not. In fact, quite the
Okay, you better mute your audio there, but you're on the air. Because you got some delay. Who's this?
Yeah, it's Lori. I'm calling from the Bahamas.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, because that's where Canadians go when they want to get away from MAGA. And what they do when they get together as a couple and go through life and they progress and they retire properly. And they educate both of their girls and get them better jobs than their parents had. And oh shit, I'm on a little bit of a bender here tonight.
Sounds like it.
I'm
Is that Canadian beer or American beer that you're on there tonight?
No, they're on Bahamian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I got some questions for you though, Rick. I'm very surprised how quickly you changed from a Trump pansy.
Well, I wouldn't go quite that far, but go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, is there any of those T-shirts left over that I can buy?
Yeah, I've got some here. I told you, any that are for sale, I'm giving the money to the food bank because I don't want it.
I'm sure.
I don't want it.
I'm sure you're keeping all the extra small for yourself.
Why would you say that?
Well, because you're flip-flopping back and forth in the wind here now. Come on, let's go back to 2021. And you were a complete clown boy back at that point in time. And you trashed Trudeau. And yeah, you were very supportive of those people that showed up at Ottawa and completely ran over everybody's rights that were in Ottawa, and with their horns and their trucks and everything else.
Little more complicated than that, but I certainly I was supportive of the protest at the time for what it was supposed to be, and what it was on one level.
What was it supposed to be?
Well, it was many things actually upon further reflection, but to me at the time it was a protest against the mandates and the lockdowns, primarily.
And where did it originate?
Where did the Freedom Convoy originate?
Sure.
Well, there's...
Pardon me?
There are a couple of different perspectives on that.
Well, we know where it originated.
Where do you think it originated?
It was all in Alberta, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yep. Alberta.
Yeah, and remember your buddies are the Coots Cowboys. Let's take some guns and we'll go down to the border and we'll see if we can blow up some RCM police, right?
Yeah, which of course at that time I wasn't aware where it originated. It looked like most Canadians. I was looking at it as an organic thing at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was masked. What was sort of at the center of it, but over time it's become clearer to people who are really paying attention what was really at the center of the Freedom Convoy. Yeah.
People that are really paying attention. Break me up here now. Where's our buddy Pat Burger King there?
Pat Burger King? I've never heard that before, but there's a new one.
Sure you did. I said that in once before.
Did you? Oh, maybe I missed that or forgot about it, I guess. Getting old.
Yeah, well, you did, yeah. you were leaning a little bit farther right at that point in time.
I'm consistent in my ideology and my wishes. But I'm always willing to change my position. What's that?
There's a question for you there now. Are you going to, like my politics and Charlie Angus's could not be farther apart, but are you going to sign his petition?
I'm going to read it. I haven't read it, so it depends on what it says. But I'll tell you this, I liked what he had to say. I like what he's saying on this, but like you, I never thought I would be aligned with anybody from the NDP on just about anything. But yeah, on this, Canada, I want my country. So, and then it's up to Canadians to decide from there, right? But we need the country to be saved. So I'm on board with that.
Well, do you think we're to the point where we have to save our country here now? What are we going to do?
I think we're pretty darn close. Yep, we're right there.
Are you in favor of opposing tariffs?
Opposing tariffs?
Yes, dollar for dollar, as we've talked about here.
I think Canada is stronger than people realize, but, as far as what the response to this is, I think we need some creative solutions. And I think that...
that's good. Creative solutions.
Yeah.
They coming out of your basement?
They might.
Oh, well, I hope so. And the last question here for you. Do you think Curly, Larry, and Mo and Miss Danielle Smith are skating on Team Canada, or do you think they're on a breakaway?
Who are you referring to as Curly, Larry, and Mo?
Well,
like Trudeau
the Premier of Saskatchewan.
Okay.
He just kind of hangs off the bottom of Alberta there and hopes that good things happen. Yeah.
I'm hoping that they're acting in the best interests of the country and not just in the interests of their province, but I don't know. I mean, I think that a lot of what needs to be done needs to be strategized behind closed doors. You need to, I can kind of see where Trump's going.
Doors.
Yeah. Initially, before it's revealed, because in this kind of a scenario where you're being attacked on an economic front like this, I don't think you want to reveal your hand too soon, because you're letting Trump know what you're going to do, and you don't want to threaten anything that you don't need to threaten. So I think a passive approach up front, and I think for me, one of the solutions that's coming out of my basement tonight is I think that we should be talking to the leaders of other countries. I think Canada should be talking to Mexico and the UK and other European Union countries. And I think that a unified front in that regard might be in order here, because Canada is not alone in this. It isn't just about fixing our border. A lot of countries are being threatened right now by Mr. Trump, and we should be coming together and pushing back together.
Well, I think you're almost as old as I am, but with this Canada diversifying trade has gone back for a long time, and we got sucked into this free trade deal.
Yeah.
And this goes back to
Mulroney.
Bushy and Clinton.
And Mulroney. And Reagan.
Then we signed a deal with Trump in 2018, and the term of the deal hasn't even run yet. It's supposed to be renegotiated in 2026.
Right, which is again why, and that's exactly right. This is the thing. It's like the guy makes a deal, and he's supposed to be the great deal maker. Now he's saying the deal sucks. Well, wasn't the master deal maker the guy behind the whole thing? Yeah, it was him. And now suddenly it's no good, so he's not even going to honor the deal. So he's ripping it up before we even get to the end. Like, this is bullshit. Sorry.
Well, Jesus, you almost agreed with me there.
Well, yeah, I think we are kind of on the same page, you and I.
Well, I think we are. I think we're pro-Canada. I think we need to speak to stick together. I have my concerns about Alberta and Saskatchewan. If they want to skate on Team Canada, well, they can do that, or they can shoot the puck down the ice on their own. But, well, we'll just see how this all turns out. I've got one more concern.
Yep.
I think you need to clean up your chat. Some people are using this as a podium to stand up and voice their concerns about things that have nothing to do with what you're talking about.
Yeah.
On your programs, and I think you need to monitor.
Yeah, well, we do have a little bit of monitoring going on. I'm very much, an advocate for free speech, so I really try not to ban people, but we've gone through episodes where we've done that to try to clean things up. I know what you're talking about. I'm opposed to a lot of the crap that's said in there. It's a lot of hateful stuff. I don't like the bigotry. I don't like the racism. I'm really, really, really disturbed by it, but it isn't just here. I'm seeing it through our communities, our society right now, and I'm of the mind where I'm hopeful that some of the people have turned that way, that we can bring them back. But I don't know if that's even possible, because there's so much psychological poison that has been poured over our country over the last few years that it's just turned toxic.
Well, I'm looking at one going USA all the way up the chat line here tonight, so that's fine. No, I won't waste any more of your time. Thank you for letting me call in, and geez, this has been good tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you called. I appreciate it, and I mean, you are right. I was duped about a lot of things, because I am like a kind of a classic conservative. So I see threats on both sides, but I appreciate you phoning, and I apologize where I've had it wrong in the past, but I think Mr. Trump has duped a lot of people, and I think he still has a lot of people sort of sucked down into rabbit holes where they prop him up and put him on a pedestal where he obviously right now does not belong at all.
Well, what I'm going to do then, Rick, is that sounds real good. I'll buy 6 of those T-shirts, so I'll get those set up, and I'll mail them in one at a time when I think you're jumping ship.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. If you want to do that, you can just make your donation at freedomreporters.com, and that'll take you to the PayPal portal, and then just put a note in there with whatever sizes you want, and I'll send you whatever we've got. And I'll make sure that I'll make sure it gets to the food bank, sir. And thank you. Have a great night. See ya. Okay, and let's go ahead. Are you back there, John? Is that you again? John, who's on the line? Oh, he's on hold. I don't know what's going on. Got another call coming in, but it was gone. Okay. All right, folks, that gets us to like 9:30 Eastern. And yeah, I do want to do the movie. So you know what we're going to do? Instead of like signing off and then coming back, what we're going to do is we're going to carry the program on. And we're going to go right into tonight's movie, Maverick Midnight Matinee. And there's a new Wolfman movie out, but we're going to tonight run Werewolf of London, sort of to mark the occasion. Hang on a sec here. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hey, Rick, I was on hold. It's Remy John.
Oh, yeah, okay. I tried to pick up there, and I think I accidentally hung up on you.
Well, Rick, I'm sitting in the Panoka Health Unit in Alberta with the electrified fences. That gentleman just called in. He's coming in as a patient.
Oh, sorry, who?
U.S.
I'm not following you. I'm sorry, John. You're confusing me.
Well, that guy just called in. Is he a total nutbar or what? From the USA? He doesn't like Canadians.
Oh, the last guy?
Yeah.
No. He's pro Canada. He's on Team Canada. He had a couple of brewskis tonight, I think, and so a couple of things maybe got a little skewed, but no, he's
the
okay.
Emergency helicopter unit standing by with Daniel Smith, the trader of Alberta, with our Black Hawk unit. Hello.
Yeah, I got to take this next call, John. Okay, see ya. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Yeah, am I on?
You're on.
Oh, okay. Hey, how you doing, Rick?
I'm okay. Oh, the calls are coming in fast and furious. Go ahead, take your best shot.
What's the movie for tonight?
Werewolf of London.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I guess that is like the werewolf, like President Trump. Are you going to replace the werewolf face with President Trump's face?
Well, I didn't get a chance to do that, but that's not a bad idea.
Hey, I gotta stand up for my president. You know, you're beating up on my president.
You go ahead, yeah.
Well, you were saying like during the pandemic, and no, I don't like everything Trump did during the pandemic.
Yep.
And lots of Americans don't like things that Trump did during the pandemic, but we forgave him, and we basically think he was duped by Fauci. But President Trump, you are severely misrepresenting how American governance works. The President of America is not the king of America. He can't tell a sovereign state who are sovereign. America's a republic comprised of 50 sovereign nations. That's what America is.
Mm-hmm.
The United States of America.
Right.
He can't tell the governors of those states what to do on COVID and on public health and things like that. That would be an attack on their personal sovereignty. So you keep like making the Trump sound like he's some evil dictator. He's the exact antithesis of that. But the thing that the president can do is he can preserve our borders and kick out illegal aliens who are foreign invaders. And you're making it sound like President Trump has no right to do that. He has every right to do that. That's his job. He's taking. First of all, if you're an illegal alien, by very definition, you're a criminal. No one has a right to any in the United States of America. And I want him to deport everyone. Like, you think Trump is bad. If I was president, there would be millions upon millions of people.
Yeah, where you want him to deport him to? Guantanamo Bay?
Not in the United States of America. They're going after, first of all, the amount of numbers they're going after right now are minuscule. And it's something that I don't like. I want them to do more.
It doesn't sound like he's deported. Like, I don't know. Is Guantanamo Bay deporting back to where they came from?
Well, I don't know if he's deporting anyone to Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, he's got 30,000 beds. They've got 30,000 cells that they're getting ready on Guantanamo Bay. We reported that, and
they're deporting rapists, murderers,
are they?
Child pedophiles.
Who's who? Yeah. How do we know that the people being arrested are pedophiles, rapists, and murderers? How do we know?
Well, because we've been seeing the stories in the United States.
The stories?
But I'm telling you, even if they're not.
So they're rounding up like 2,000 a day, and how do you determine what crimes they're guilty of on the spot?
Being in America illegally is a crime.
Okay,
that
fine.
Is a crime.
All right, so
that is a crime.
and then you can deport them. Yeah. But who decides that someone is guilty of murder or pedophilia, and then they get to go to what, prison? And what trial are these people getting? What due process are they entitled to? What rights are they being afforded? None.
What rights? They're foreigners. They don't have any rights.
Ah, well, there we go.
America.
Right, so no rights. They don't have any rights.
If you don't have a right to
But
be
is
in the United States of
but if
America,
but
America belongs to Americans.
so they're do they have human rights? What rights? If you don't afford at least some basic, if you don't afford
They have to have crimes.
their jobs taken. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Who the heck do you think you are? Who do you think you are? America is a sovereign nation and has every right to preserve its borders. Foreigners do not have a right to be in the United States.
Oh. What about Canada? Do we have the sovereign right to preserve our borders?
Yeah, of course.
Well, then why is Trump attacking us?
Well,
What right does he have to meddle in our elections? What right does he have? What right does Elon Musk have to meddle in the affairs of our politics with his social media sledgehammer?
You are blaming Americans for what the corrupt Canadian oligarchs in your country did. If you were a real Canadian patriot, you would be talking about removing the corrupt men and women in power in your government.
I have.
It's not in America that's your enemy. All I hear you talking about is President Trump. President Trump is not Canada's
Our
enemy.
problems are for
Canada's enemy
us
is
to solve,
Ottawa.
my friend. I don't need you to liberate us by invading us or using economic warfare to take us over or to coerce us into bending the knee to do whatever you want that is in your interests. We want our sovereignty so that we can solve our problems. And we will deal with any problems that we have. And I would suggest to you that maybe you have some housekeeping to take care of on your side. You've got some pretty serious problems over there. So why don't you get your house in order and leave our problems to us? We'll leave your problems to you. Stay out of our affairs.
Getting Trump elected is part of getting our house in order.
Okay.
And again,
congratulations.
Americans for the problems caused by Canadian oligarchs. I don't blame the Canadian people. I blame people like Trudeau and those corrupt politicians who were shown earlier.
Our Canadian oligarchs are causing problems in the United States? Like who?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which Canadian oligarchs are causing problems?
Well, when I called in the other day, I told you the problems of taking Americans' jobs, that surplus, which again, I don't think you've disproven what President Trump has said. And even if you're right and it's 60 billion,
well, I'm right.
60 billion is still a lot. 60 billion is still a lot.
You can look it up, man. It's publicly available. There are all kinds of reports. I just looked at one from the TD Bank, which also has U.S. interests. Yeah.
So the President of the United States of America is just blatantly lying.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's making it up. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's 100% bullshit.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
He's ridiculous, my friend. He is. I like you, but this is just total bullshit. And he's been in the last 3 days, he's used 3 completely different numbers. Yes, today it's 200 billion. Yesterday it was 175 billion, and the day before that it was 250 billion. So which is it?
You said it was 60 billion. That's still a huge amount.
Yeah, that is a huge amount. That it's any given year, the trade deficit is between 40 and 60 billion dollars.
And America's defense spending and those early warning systems you talked about the other day, they benefit Canada too. If you think World War III is just going to go over the heads of Canadians, you're crazy. That absolutely benefits Canada too.
Maybe if you didn't have a president who was going around the world threatening everyone, we wouldn't have to worry about World War III.
I I don't think President Trump is the one destabilizing the world. I think it's
pretty destabilizing up here right now, and all he had to do was threaten 25% tariffs, and now we're actually going to get it. Everything was pretty stable between the two countries until this. Now it's not stable at all, is it?
No, you think it was smooth because the Canadian oligarchs were getting what they want, and American
Canadian
workers
oligarchs?
Yeah, Canadian oligarchs, because America has every right to raise tariffs on imports, Rick. America became the wealthiest and under the Coolidge and the Governor era when tariffs were rather high. America does not need Canadian oil. It doesn't need America to rebuild its manufacturing base. I understand Canada
Go
is
ahead.
a blessed nation that it is.
Stop buying it.
It's a blessed nation.
Go ahead, stop
Canada's
buying it.
a blessed
We'll sell it to other people. It'll take time for us to adjust, but we'll sell to other people. Oh, but then the other night you said we're not allowed to. Right, I
Canada's
forgot.
a blessed nation. Canada's a blessed nation, but so the United States isn't exactly Saudi Arabia. It has oil, it has natural resources, it has everything it needs. You know, so America does not. I don't think this is about Trump is trying to get Canadian resources and things like that. Canada is one of the most corrupt nations on the planet. You are heavily mismanaged. Another thing that you were wrong about. As you were saying, like
One of the most corrupt nations on the face of the planet.
America had its problems too. America.
Listen. I can't remember. What's your name? What's your name again? I can't remember.
John.
Listen, John. John. We do have some problems up here. But we're certainly not one of the most corrupt countries on the face of the planet.
I would disagree.
Well, you can disagree all you want, but there are studies
during COVID, you had some of the worst lockdowns on the planet.
How would you know? Did you live here?
I could see it. I could see it. You could see it through our media. You could see what was going on over there. I saw it by watching your
same
show.
Crap, same. It was the same crap in most places in the U.S. Same stuff in New York. Same stuff in California. You only had a couple. You only had a few states. You only had a few states that were much different than Canada.
It was not the same.
You only had a few states that were much different than Canada. And in fact, as I traveled, just about every country had a great degree of the same kind of coercion. It was rampant around the world at the time.
That is not true.
Sure as hell is.
That is not true. It was far worse in Canada.
In fact, I was reporting on that from Costa Rica, where people were being told, Canadians, you should move to Costa Rica. It's much better here. They didn't have lockdowns. So I went down to Costa Rica I went there, and they had the lockdowns there too. I've got the video. I'll play it for you another night. I still have more that I'm going to put together into a larger report.
What you guys went through in Canada was far worse than anything in the United States. It's not even comparable.
You mean like in New York where they moved COVID people into nursing homes?
It's because you are controlled by corrupt oligarchs. I'm not saying the Canadian people are corrupt. I'm saying.
What do you call Elon Musk? What do you call Elon Musk? What do you call all those guys who are investing the $500 billion in the AI development project?
Elon Musk is not part of the United States government. He might be part of that.
No. What do you call the Department of Government Efficiency? Department of Government Efficiency. He's running that. He's not. And you're telling me he's not part of the U.S. government? Come on.
Might be it's something that maybe they're creating in the executive cabinet, but it doesn't exist as of yet. And equating Elon Musk with the United States government is ridiculous. He's
right in the bloody White House. He's joined at the hip. He's advising Trump. He's running the Doge. He's hacking and slashing budgets and reforming grants and who's allowed to get them and who isn't, and subsidies.
You want me to defend Elon Musk, that's a dog that don't hunt. I don't care about Elon Musk. There's things I don't like about Elon Musk. But Elon Musk is not America. All right? Now, when you attack President Trump,
he's sort of the de facto vice president at this point.
No, we have J.D. Vance. We have a good Catholic.
Yeah, what is it with that guy's eyes? What is it with you got Cash Patel's got crazy eye guy, and then what is it with J.D. Vance and the lines under? What is that?
Canada is the most corrupt government in Western civilization, and instead of blaming President Trump,
yeah, what do you base that on? Where's your data on that, my friend?
Change the people in Ottawa. Change the people in Ottawa. Don't try to attack our president. You guys are talking about coming and burning down the White House again.
Well, we've got an election coming up, and people will choose. That's democracy.
Well, that's what you should do.
We're going to do that.
That's what you should do.
Well, we're in process.
That's what you should do.
But
it's not our fault. It's that your people up there, not you Canadian people, regular Canadian people. It's not American fault, not President Trump's fault, that Canada is controlled by corrupt globalist scum like Trudeau. Wow. The other day you had that show. Let me just say one point. That other day you had that show with that Sikh guy that's one of your representatives. Now you can call it racism all you want. I think this is like over nonsense. Mm-hmm. Canada is a European Christian nation. Who built Canada? English people, Scottish people, Irish people, French people, all Christians, not Sikhs, not foreigners.
Well, that's actually not quite true, but we've got a lot of different people built this country, my friend. We're a cultural mosaic, and that's the truth.
It wasn't non-European. And you have
I think the First Nations people up here might have something to say about that.
You have a corrupt...
And the people of the Mohawk Nation who fought with us in the War of 1812, they might have something to say about that.
Don't blame Americans. Don't blame President Trump.
I'm not blaming...
I'm
not...
You need to change the people in
Iowa,
not get mad at us in America. Americans, and I think...
Look, man. If Canadians choose to have a globalist government, that's up to Canadians, not up to President Trump. Just because you might not want a globalist politician in power doesn't give you the right to come up here and stamp all over our democracy. If people choose that, they choose that. You can just suck it up. I don't want a left-wing socialist government either.
And America has every right to raise tariffs.
Well, go ahead.
If America wants to raise tariffs to 100%.
Go ahead. Go isolate yourself. I don't give a damn. That's up to you.
If you're not controlling that border,
go ahead.
If you're not controlling that border, and if you're not controlling your border and your border responsibility,
our border,
if
we're not controlling, it's not, dude, John, it's not our border. It's your border. It's your border. It's your border. Your border. Your border. It's your border. It's your border. You want it secure, you secure your damn border. We secure our border. And right now we're concerned about all the asylum seekers that are going to be coming up here because you've got a president who's hunting people on the streets. So, and you let all those people in.
Well, arresting criminals.
Again, and here we go, like criminals, the arresting criminals, okay.
Arresting criminals.
Yeah, and again, like instant judge, jury, and executioner right there on the street. Oh, you're a murderer. You're a pedophile, and no due process. Just some guy in body armor saying, you over there, you're a criminal. Come with me. You're going to Guantanamo Bay.
The government has a right to impose American immigration laws, Rick.
Go ahead. That's your country. That's your problem. And if you are worried about your border, then you have every right to secure that. But don't make your problem my damn problem.
Every right to raise tariffs on Canada.
And go, as I already told you, John. Go ahead.
America has every right.
Yeah.
America has every right.
Yeah, you do.
To rebuild its manufacturing.
That's right, and we have every right, and then we have every right to trade with other countries. Then, because we have a right to survive. We have a right to live. We have a right to breathe. We have a right to eat.
You say the thing, Rick, you should be presenting this as like, you're the Canadian patriot. You're not. You want war with the United States.
No, I don't.
You want war with the United States.
I'm not going to go to war with the United
States. Obviously you do, because when you're talking, you absolutely do. Do you think a war, a trade war, is going to be in the footsteps?
Then don't. Well, if you don't want a trade war, then don't start a trade war. Don't impose 25% tariffs on us, and there won't be a trade war.
We didn't call it this. President Trump didn't call it the trade war. The people in Ottawa did.
How?
The people in Ottawa did with the way they're with the surplus they get that you will says doesn't exist, but
It doesn't.
It's at least $60 billion, which is huge.
So you're manufacturing an excuse that's not even real, not even in the realm of reality.
With the fact that, let me finish. With the fact that $60 billion is still a huge amount, and I still don't agree that you're right. With the fact that America's defense spending benefits Canada,
then if you don't want to spend the money, if you don't want to spend, I don't care. At this point, man, I don't even care. Take all your military toys and just go home then, because I don't care.
Take from Americans and the jobs you take from Americans. So
What we don't,
idea that
we're not taking your jobs, John. You've taken our jobs, and you're about to take our auto jobs. You're going to take those auto plants out of here, so you think. You're going to try anyway. And go ahead and take your military toys and go back to the United States. I don't care. Just please don't invade us. Don't coerce us. Don't use economic warfare on us. Don't send your tanks up here, and don't try to liberate us. I don't want it. And if you don't want to spend any money defending us, then just don't. And you know what? I don't think anybody's going to invade us, because we're not a threat to anybody. So I don't care.
No, that's right. Russia won't invade you. That's right. Without America, you guys would be
I don't care.
Russia. Canada never would have existed.
Go ahead.
Canada never would have existed.
If that's the way you feel, it's fine with me. If you want to cooperate, if you want to continue, I'm happy to do that too. We've been good friends and neighbors and allies, and we'll continue our alliance together. We want to be part of NATO. We want to be part of these associations that we've had for 150 plus years. We want that to continue. Just please stop stepping on my neck.
You want it to continue in a way, and it doesn't even benefit normal Canadians. You want it to. You want
the mutually beneficial.
You want the status quo to continue, which harms Americans, it harms regular Canadians, and it benefits a few people in the Canadian ruling class in Ottawa. That's what you're promoting. So don't you should not call yourself a Canadian patriot. You're not.
I'm 100% Canadian patriot. Have been, always have been, will be.
You are not. The things you are saying are going to destroy Canada.
No, the United States is, Donald Trump is hell-bent on destroying Canada. That's what's happening, and there's some other people who are working toward that too.
It's Trudeau. It's the people in Ottawa that are destroying Canada, not President Trump.
Well, maybe in their own way, but that's up to Canadians to deal with, not Donald Trump, and not up to you.
President Trump is doing his job. No, President Trump is every
by
right
threatening
to do
us?
President Trump.
Undermining, trying to destroy the Canadian economy, starve us into submission, make us capitulate.
And he's protecting American sovereignty.
What threat to American sovereignty are we? We're not. And if you've got a threat to your sovereignty because of your border, then secure your damn border. Get President Trump to spend a little money and build a wall on the northern border. He's building one on the Mexico border.
No responsibility for border security? Is that what you're saying?
We're responsible for everything coming our way. You're responsible for what goes your way. We're a free country. If anybody wants to leave Canada, we don't stop them. Go ahead. I'm a Canadian citizen, just like you're an American citizen. If you want to leave,
Canada's not a free country. Canada's not a free
country. Well, the United States certainly isn't free right now.
Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. We all saw it after during COVID, and no, Canadians couldn't just leave.
Yeah, well, you're certainly using that to ramp people up.
You are blaming the wrong person. You're blaming President Trump.
No, I'm just blaming the guy who gave us the vax, did nothing to protect people from the mandates, let the mandates roll through, and then and now he's saying, I'm going to stop the mandates. Yeah, well, it's a little late now, pal.
Do you really want to have a conversation about the mandates, Rick?
No, not really, because we're kind of getting off onto a side issue. Right now, I'm worried about saving the country.
Not you personally, you didn't do it, but the corrupt Canadian leadership were horrible in those mandates. Canadians got treated horribly during those mandates. You know,
yeah,
I'm not defending the things that bad things.
Yeah, a lot of people failed the test, right? Like if you knew that the Nazis were the way the Nazis were, would you have supported the Nazis? No, I would never do that. And then during the pandemic, people all around the world, including in the United States and Canada, a lot of people failed that, and they put a lot of pressure on governments to lock people down because they were afraid. And a lot of people failed the test. And you know what? A lot of people are failing the test again. And you know who was at the helm both times? Isn't it strange? Not really. It's Donald Trump. He was the guy at the helm then, and he's the guy back at the helm now.
Trudeau, Bear, the guy I can't pronounce the name of, the other guy who actually, like the guy whose brother who got caught smoking the crack, I always liked him because he was kind of colorful. Who's that guy? The big guy. His brother died. His twin brother died. He was a politician too.
The mayor of Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah, what's his name?
Doug Ford and Rob Ford. Rob Ford was the one who passed away, who got caught smoking crack.
Yeah, I like them. I like them both. Yeah, Doug Ford, but Doug Ford, unfortunately, tragically, he was there throughout all that too. So yeah, you're right. It was some American leadership did fail. Some did better. DeSantis in Florida.
So you had the same problems, man, down there.
But
you've got even bigger problems down there than we have up here, by far. Social problems. You got problems on your streets. You got problems. You've got people on your university campuses, who preventing some people from crossing into their classrooms. You've got bigger problems, and you've got a whole lot more social divide down in the southern U.S. than we have up here. And I know because I've traveled. And there's a whole lot more tolerance up here, even today, in spite of the fact that there's so much increased bigotry up here. Canada is still a much more tolerant and kind place than what I find when I travel in many parts of the United States. But I still love the U.S. You've got serious problems down there. You should take care of your problems. We'll take care of ours.
Truck drivers being forced to take an experimental vaccine or they'd lose their jobs. That's not very kind, Rick. Young Canadians not being able to afford.
I think there were people down in the States who were kind of forced to take some jabs, including some people in the military too. Yeah, you had that going on. You had the same problems, same things going on down there. Just the same. It's the same.
You are minimizing it. You are projecting. You are trying to deflect from the problems that Canada has. The very real.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you, we've had problems. We continue to have problems, and we're trying to deal with the problems. And I'm telling you, you've got problems down there too. We both got problems. But don't let. I'm not going to let your president amplify and distort the context and the scale of our problems in order to have him justify an assault on our country economically and maybe even beyond that. And I'm not going to sit here and just passively and blindly follow him and defend him when he's destabilizing my country and dividing people along separatist lines. I see exactly what he's doing.
Trump isn't destabilizing your country.
Yes, he is.
The people in Ottawa who are destabilizing.
No, it's President Trump that's destabilizing the country. We've dealt with these separatist issues a number of times through our history, and which I'm sure you're not really fully aware of or how that was dealt with in the past. But through the patriation of the Constitution in 1982, the Meech Lake Accords, which I'm sure you probably have no concept of at all, what any of that was about, where we've tried to bring Quebec into the fold of the Constitution, but constitutionally, what we're doing here is valid legally and lawfully. It absolutely is. But I know that on the American side, you guys are supporting people who have been constantly over the past number of years, especially since the pandemic, trying to plant seeds of doubt and water them and grow that doubt within our society in order to facilitate division and fuel all of that.
Canada, its problems are homegrown, Rick. And by trying to pretend
No, I think the 25% tariff is a problem coming from the US of A. And it's coming straight from the Oval Office.
In Canada. Your problems exist in Canada. That's the source of
our problem right now is sitting in the Oval Office, and it's the 25% tariff, and it's a president sitting there saying that he wants to make Canada the 51st state, and acknowledging that he's not joking. That's disruptive.
Your
That's
problem
destabilizing.
or
Which is exactly
Your
what,
problem
and his
or
comments about Greenland have been destabilizing to Denmark. His comments about Panama and the Panama Canal have been destabilizing there. And I understand the concerns that you have down there, but there are ways to deal with that. There are ways to deal with that.
America built the Panama Canal.
Yeah, do you own Panama? Do you hold sovereignty over Panama?
The Panama Canal never should have been given away. The Panama Canal never should have been given away.
No.
Okay, and I believe a united. Now, I don't think this is what Trump's going to do. I think he's just. I don't think Canada's going to become part of the United States. But I do think that look, there's going to be globalism in the future, no matter what. And there's an evil agenda out there. That's, by the way, your oligarchs in Ottawa are part of. And
yeah, which ones?
Trump,
can you name it? Can you name some of those oligarchs for me? Which ones are you referring to?
Yeah, we did earlier. Trudeau, Ford.
They're not oligarchs. They're politicians.
That's sodomite. No, those are oligarchs.
No, those are politicians.
Oligarchs.
Those are politicians.
That sodomite that you were showing earlier, and the guy with the feather. Those are oligarchs.
No, he's a member. That's Charlie Angus. He's a member of Parliament. He's not an oligarch.
Those people don't work for Canada. They don't work for Canada.
Oh.
They work for the globalist NGOs that totally fund them. All you have to do is listen to them talking about economic crises and again, they're doing what you're doing. They're deflecting. They're deflecting who is causing the real problems in Canada. It's not President Trump. It's the people in Ottawa. Those are the people. And President Trump is not assaulting Canada. President Trump has every right.
He has every right to destroy your country. He has every right to just cut off trade. He does. If he wants to do that, have at it, my friend. Have at it.
Every right to enforce the United States immigration law.
I guess, because all he has to do is just do this with his pen. That's democracy. That's democracy. 200 executive orders on day one. Oh, that's a free society.
That's the problem. The corrupt oligarchs in Canada
the oligarchs that you can't name because you think they're politicians.
I just told you, Trudeau.
He's not an oligarch.
Ford. I just told you, yes, he is. He's an agent of. He is an oligarch. These are agents.
Define oligarch. Define
Trudeau,
oligarch. Define it.
Trudeau,
Define oligarch.
Trudeau doesn't represent Canada. Trudeau.
What is an oligarch, John? How can I have a conversation with you when you don't even can you? What is an oligarch?
You keep interrupting me. Hold on. I was in the middle of a sentence. Let me finish. Trudeau.
I'm not until you define oligarch. Tell me what an oligarch is.
You keep interrupting. Let me finish my point, and I'll answer your question. The Trudeau is a representative of the people that behind him, the forces behind him, and that those forces do not have Canadians' best interest in heart. And it's the same thing with Ford. And the same thing with those people you showed earlier.
I got another call coming in, John. You go look up oligarch, and we'll define it the next time you call in. And who's on the line from British Columbia?
Rick, it's Maureen.
Hi.
Hi.
What do you want to say? Go ahead.
Hang on. I'm floored. I'm floored. I can't believe this show tonight.
Okay.
It's interesting.
To say the least.
And yeah, to say the least is right. Now I lost you. Where am I here?
I don't know. I don't know where we're at anymore. Maureen, you help me out. Help me out. Make me help. Let's make some sense out of this senselessness.
Look, I can.
Madness.
Yeah, wow. I don't know what to... Okay, let's start with Trump.
Okay. All roads lead back to Trump right now. That's for sure.
Okay, so when this clown was signing all the, like, handing Trump all these executive orders to sign, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't he slip one in there? Okay, number one, who signs anything without reading it first? Trump never read one of them.
I know. What's this one about?
He asked
Oh,
the
okay.
clown.
I know.
He asked the idiot standing beside him with a sticky note on every, like, 200 of these things. And Trump's like, well, what is this one? Why didn't he slip one in there that said, fire Trump, and tell him, Trump, that, oh, well, this is blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then Trump signs it. Trump's gone.
Yeah. You know what, Maureen? People here have been upset about prorogation of Parliament, and people have been calling me saying, now Trudeau is the only one in charge and he can do anything he wants. All he has to do is sign an executive order and send it off to the Privy Council and blah, 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 which isn't really true at all. And yet they're all the same people are applauding and cheering for Trump signing 200 executive orders, but they're upset over something that Trudeau isn't even able to do.
Exactly. Like, what has this to do with Trudeau?
Nothing. It's upside down. It's not Trudeau. It's not Polyev. It's not Jagmeet Singh. It's not Elizabeth May. It's not any of them. It's Trump.
It's not.
Trump.
And I don't know. It blew my mind when he's signing all these executive orders and not even reading what he's signing.
No. I know. He could have been. They could. If I were a car dealer, I would be, getting him to sign off on buying a new truck or something, right? Just give him this one. He can afford it. He can afford the monthly payments.
Well, this is the best one on the market, and it's cheapest, and so you sign on, like. And then, your T-shirts.
Yeah.
I didn't like them from the beginning. I really didn't understand where you were going with them. But anyway, the thing is, when he got apparently shot, did you notice he gets up right away? Fight. And these Secret Service, like, they're trying to keep him down. Like, stay down, you idiot. Stay down. And he's up and he's fight. And he's putting all these agents' lives on the line. Mm-hmm. He should have stayed down. When they say, get down, you stay down. But he gets up, fight. Well, that wow, like,
and it was an iconic moment, and it was just framed up picture perfect too, wasn't it? Just that photographer, and when he stood up, it was like the American flag was right there, and he was able to snap that shot at just the right moment. It was like that. It was like a made-for-TV moment, wasn't it?
Definitely. I thought, actually, when he was saying fight, I thought he was saying vote. Mm. He wasn't, so that was correct. But he put a lot of people in jail. And that poor firefighter that lost his life, I don't think Trump ever once confronted that family. That firefighter is the only one that took a bullet that day.
Well, he did. He did acknowledge the family, and there were a few times when he did speak to it.
Not as much
Yes,
as
he did.
Biden would have. If he had any that poor firefighter and his family, that just, wow.
Yeah, that's very real. That's what that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. But your program tonight and that last caller, we all have a right to our opinion. I'm surprised that you stayed online with them for so long.
No, people aren't. I'll talk to people. They don't have to agree with me. Just don't get.
I can't believe how calm you stay. I would have.
Not always.
I would
Not always. Sometimes it's pretty tough, man. But it's okay.
I bet. And so, anyways, I just there was a few things I should have wrote them down. Damn it! There was a few things I wanted to go over with you, but I lost it.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's not about partisan politics at this point. It's literally about saving my country. And as much as I love the United States, Trump has lost me. So I'm gonna sit here and criticize him. Not that I ever fully endorsed him, I didn't. But I absolutely love my country, and I'm going to defend it peacefully and strategically, or do whatever I have to do to defend it. That's why I'm sitting in the chair every night. I'm fighting for freedom and for the sovereignty and the existence of my country now. So I'm going to fight for it, like, peacefully. So don't expect I haven't deviated from that at all.
No. And I applaud you for being so calm and you take a lot of flack from people that normally mostly the Americans. Okay, Joseph. Okay, since the last time when Joseph and that Michael clown, savaged, and they were bashing me back and forth.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Joseph hasn't been on since.
Well, he's been on a couple of times since then. He has been. But the thing is, like, for an American, I can see that the perspective is going to be different on it because they don't live here. They don't fully, they're not immersed in the culture and the day-to-day activities of being a Canadian, right? So I don't think he fully grasps the threat or the destabilized nature in which we find ourselves right now because of what Trump is doing. So the impact of this is not really being realized on the U.S. side at all.
I think Joseph and that Savage, I think they're embarrassed. That's why they won't come back on your show.
Oh no, I think Joseph would come back on.
No, I think he's embarrassed.
Yeah, and I think he just doesn't maybe understand why I'm so dug in, on some of the stuff that I'm talking about. But we're friends, and he'll figure out why I'm so passionate. In short order, I think. He's okay.
There's nothing wrong with being passionate about your country, and who comes. I said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it till the day I die. He is going to get done. It's not nice to say, but someone is going to take care of Trump.
Well, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, not even him.
I wouldn't either.
But he's making a lot of enemies. He's made a lot of enemies and continues to make more. Yeah. It's not, and unnecessarily, this is not making America great. This is making America weaker in the long run. Look what he's done. Look what he's done with me. I'm not endorsing Trump, but supportive of the overall, what I thought was the direction of less government and less government intervention, maybe lower taxes, maybe a little bit more conservative culture as a result of some of the policies, things like that. But no, he's lost me, man. So it's my job to hold public officials accountable as a journalist, right? So I'm going to continue to do that regardless of their political stripe. And when they do things that are in the right vein, I'll cast that in a proper light as well. But I'm not endorsing Trump. I'm not endorsing any politician. And I'll talk to people from across the spectrum.
Well, okay, so one of the things that Trump brought up was, our Canada, their healthcare will be better, this will be better. But I'll tell you right now, I live in British Columbia. Mm-hmm. I pay nothing for healthcare. In British Columbia, it goes by your income. Mm-hmm. If you're low income, you don't pay for prescriptions, you don't pay for medical. And it goes by your income. Yeah. So if you make I'm thinking 23,000 and less in a year, your health care is paid for. You don't have to pay diddly squat.
Yes.
I don't pay anything for my prescriptions. I don't pay anything for medical. So how is Trump saying that our our medical will be better. I mean, you die on the side of the road in America and then you don't have coverage. Guess what? You're going to stay on the side of the road.
Yeah, it's not going to be better. It'll be different, and it'll be better for people who have insurance, and maybe the means to pay for it if they are in that position. It won't be. It'll be a lot worse for people who can't get insurance or can't afford care.
Like I lived in Windsor, and then I moved to BC. But in Windsor, they had what's OHIP?
Yeah.
Ontario
Okay.
Health Insurance Plan.
Yep.
Yeah, so then you pay into that. But what I'm saying is in British Columbia, it goes by your income.
Yeah. Everybody gets, in Ontario, you go to the doctor, it's basically covered. Surgery's covered. Most things are covered on the medical side. You pay for your prescriptions. There are plans in place to help people who don't have the financial means. There's a lot of supports there, right? And as I indicated, I've been very critical of the Canadian healthcare system, but strangely, 6 months ago now or so, I came on and I talked about an experience I had at the emergency department here locally, and the care in the past year under the Conservative government of Doug Ford, it has improved a lot, amazing. The improvements that have been made, but that's because he's introducing a little bit of private into it, but still making sure that the basics are covered for people. And they've made changes in the way that nurse practitioners fill in the holes for doctors for some of the routine things that have to be done during a visit to the hospital, stuff like that. And like I said, when I went when I was in emergency, where I used to, if you went there, you were there 12 to 16 hours. I was in and out in a couple of hours. And when I was then they ordered a test. They let me go home, and I came back. I had an MRI that day, and they were bringing me warm blankets. And Mr. Walker, you look cold. I'm going to bring you a warm blanket. And then they were like. They were your wife is calling. She didn't know where I was, right? So she knew I was at the hospital, but she called emergency because my phone had gone dead. Oh well, Mr. Walker, your wife wants to talk to you, but we'll bring you a phone charger so that you can talk to your wife. I was like, are you kidding me? This is like a 5-star hotel. I can't get the people at the front desk to bring me a phone charger when I'm at a hotel. But I got that in emergency at the hospital. Seriously. They came over that bowl. They had a whole bunch. They were like, will this one fit your phone, Mr. Walker? They were helping me get my, unbelievable. I've never had that experience at emergency in Canada ever. So I have to acknowledge that it's true. So I don't, we've got our problems, but we're working through them. And there's an example of something that is being addressed.
Yeah, well, he's going to make our health care better. That right there tells me you're an idiot, Trump.
Yeah, kind of. But, I did get sick when I was down in Texas one time. And this is years ago. And I had to have an operation. And they meant the care I got, but I had insurance. And it was all covered by insurance. But you know how much that would have cost me?
Exactly.
$150,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when Trump says, your health care will be better, I don't get that.
But the care that I got, it was state of the art. I got this doctor who was trained by the U.S. Army. He used laparoscopic surgery. So if I'd had it done in Canada, they would have used a scalpel. Down there, they used laparoscopic. I don't even have any scars from what they did. It's amazing. But $150,000, but all covered by insurance. Thank God. But here's the thing. When I was down there, they kept coming to me, and before I got approval from insurance, they wanted me to sign the documents saying that I was approving all of these procedures. And I was like, not until I get approval from the insurance company. And I waited, even though I was in agonizing pain. And finally, the insurance company from Canada approved everything, then I signed. If I'd signed before that, the insurance company wouldn't have had to pay, and I would have been on the hook for 150 grand. And the people, the nurses that kept coming and pushing this paperwork in front of me, if I'd given in to them, I would have been on the hook for all that money. It would have been so destructive to my life. So you got to be careful. That's the thing about that healthcare system, man. It's all about laws, and it's like who's liable and who's paying for what. And you sign this, and now you're on the hook. So be careful. Yeah, better in some ways and a whole lot worse in others.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And see, I think one of the reasons they push the paperwork is because they have health insurance companies down there, and if they can get you to sign before, then the insurance companies down there, just like the ones up, then they don't have to pay. Then the people are on the hook. So they push that to the people at the hospital, and I don't know what the incentive might be, but I'll tell you what, the care I got there was like stellar. They treated me like a rock star, the nurses, when I was there, and they loved me because I was Canadian. I was like a real oddity to them in San Antonio, right? And they would come in, they'd talk to me just to find out more about Canada, and it was great. I love Texas. I do. I love Tennessee too. Love the people in Tennessee. And I can't say enough about good things about the hospital, but it's the money, man, and it's the insurance, and it's the procedures. It's different. And you got to know your way around, or you're going to get burned. So, yeah.
Anyway,
Maureen,
are you still doing the midnight?
We're doing the midnight matinee, Maverick midnight matinee, as soon as we're done with your call.
Okay, I'll watch it with you.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you for calling in. Love talking to you.
Yeah, and have a good night. And yeah, you're awesome, Rick. Your show is awesome. You don't let these people get to you.
Yes, I do.
And I'm not
it's inevitable. I can't help it. Yeah,
like
I'm
I'm
not.
watching you, and the guy's on the phone, and I'm like, Rick, hang up, just hang. You kept your cool, and it's like, holy crikey.
I'd like to say it's all in good fun, but it's the most serious of times, isn't it? So
Yeah.
Anyway, Maureen, thank you for calling. Let's get on to the movie, shall we?
Okay. Good night.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
There you go, folks. That was Maureen. Yeah. And John can call back from New Mexico anytime he wants. Maybe he'll have a definition of oligarch the next time. It's more helpful, and so we can understand each other and what we're actually talking about. All right, who's ready for the Maverick Midnight Matinee? Let's get the show on the road, shall we? Now, I think what I'm going to do is we're running on YouTube right now. I don't like running these movies on YouTube because they always hit us with copyright, even when it's not a copyright thing. So we might have to jump off YouTube. I'm going to take a little break. I'm not signing off, staying online. But if you lose us on YouTube, we'll be over on Rumble, and I'll put the link on in the chat. Well, I have the opportunity so that you can follow us over to the Rumble channel for the movie tonight. And we're going to watch Werewolf of London. And the reason for that is because there's a new werewolf movie out, which I wasn't even really aware of. John from Toronto, the other John, one of the three Johns that call in. Come on, chat, open up. The chat's not opening for me. There it is. Okay. There's a new werewolf movie out, apparently. And there's the link. Putting it in the chat for YouTube and the other shows. So you can follow us over to Rumble if you need to watch the movie with us, if you're not there already. I'm going to run a couple of little promos in between here, and then we're going to run the opener for Maverick Midnight Matinee. I don't have the first part of the opener ready, but that's okay. We've got the main one ready to go. Stay with me. Be right back.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV.
The entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Okay, let's get this movie on the road here. The show on the road, shall we? I need to find the opener for Maverick Midnight Matinee. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Oh, there it is. There it is right there. Are you ready? Here we go. Okay, so there's a new werewolf movie out. I haven't seen it. I want to. John from Toronto, our friend who sometimes calls into our news program. I haven't had time to change our background tonight to Maverick Midnight Matinee, but whatever. There's a new werewolf movie out. He went on Cheap Tuesday to go see it, and I got jealous because I didn't know. That sounds really good. There's also this Nosferatu movie out that I want to see as well, which looks pretty spectacular. Yeah, very stylish from what I've seen. So I thought tonight, because there's a werewolf movie playing that's new, we're gonna run a werewolf movie here too. We're gonna look at Universal Films werewolf flick, but not the Wolf Man. Tonight we're gonna present Werewolf of London. This is from 1935. We found this one lurking in the fog. We're gonna sink our teeth into this true classic of early werewolf cinema. Werewolf of London, 1935. This is before Lon Chaney made the Wolfman famous through Universal Films. This is where Henry Hull dons the fangs and fur in this atmospheric Universal horror tale. It's a story of science, superstition, and a transformation that will chill you to the bone. So, Midnight Mavericks, grab your silver bullets. Wait a minute. Let's not get violent. Maybe just grab some popcorn and soda, or maybe some coffee, and settle in for a night of monstrous mayhem. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get howling, shall we? With Werewolf of London. Oh, it froze up. Oh, we're having trouble with the movie. Not good. Let me close a few things off here. See if we can get this smoothed out. I'll tell you what, just give me a moment. And I will fix this, and I will be right back. So don't go away.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I need just a moment to adjust things again. I need to get off YouTube. That's part of the problem. So if you're watching on YouTube, go over to Rumble, and we'll catch you over there. I'm going to run a song here. In fact, I'm going to run the Magamars while I fix all the problems.
He's got a plan, it's bold and grand, taking over land, sea and sand. Canada's ours, Greenland's in the mix, the Panama Canal's just another fix. But Mars, oh Mars, you pesky red sphere, your spying drones are making it clear. It's a threat to Earth, a cosmic sin, but don't worry folks, he'll make Mars great again. MAGA Mars, you're the 53rd state. Under Trump, your future is great. With Elon Musk and the Space Force too, we're slapping tariffs on your Martian crew. Make Mars great, yeah, make Mars ours. Wave that flag on the red rock stars. We'll impose sanctions, taxes, and fines. Martian exports know they're crossing the line. The Martians cry foul, but Trump doesn't care. He'll build a space wall floating up there. Elon's on board with rockets ablaze. The stock market's loving this Martian craze. He says, trust me, folks, I know the deal. Martian gold is ours, this plan is real. MAGA Mars, you're the 53rd state. Under Trump, your future is great. With Elon Musk and the Space Force too, we're slapping tariffs on your Martian crew. Make Mars great, yeah, make Mars ours. Wave that flag on the red rock.